Our boy Kang strolls into the arena, ready to throw down with Dai-chan. This isn't just any old dude, it's Seijin's S-rank Sword King dad, and bruh, the stakes are absolutely insane. The rules are simple, the fight's over, when someone taps out or gets knocked out. If Dai-chan wins, Kang is getting hitched to his daughter. But if Kang pulls off the W, the old man has to quit meddling with Seijin's school schedule for good. Kang doesn't even break a sweat. He just tells the geezer to be a man of his word. Right as the match is about to kick off, a squad of mages throws up barriers to keep the whole place from getting wrecked. And that's when they witness something that shouldn't even be possible. Kang is straight up using an aura blade. Before they can wrap their heads around it, Kang raises his sword and unleashes a demon sword art, just brimming with destructive power. He's going for a one-shot KO, and the sheer pressure is making everyone's skin crawl. The wild part, Kang isn't even trying his hardest, because if he went full throttle, he'd probably wipe out everyone in the building. Even so, Dai-chan throws up 3 layers of shields and still gets a nasty gash across his face. But instead of backing down, the old man gets totally hyped, calling Kang the perfect sparring partner for Seijin. Then he cranks it up a notch, and even more mages rush in to beef up the barriers. Dai-chan starts slinging these raw energy blasts that are so intense the support mages start getting nosebleeds and passing out, but Kang stays totally calm. He parries, he dodges, and he gets through it all without a single scratch. Once the entire barrier squad is down for the count, Dai-chan calls it quits, admits Kang is legit, and promises to back off. Of course, he still tries to recruit Kang anyway. So, how did our boy even land in this mess? Well, our MC used to be a third-rate web novel artist. His stories were low-key flops, and he ended up working himself straight into an early grave. Next thing he knows, he wakes up in hell face-to-face with the big boss Yamaraja. But before our MC can even start complaining, the King of Hell tells him he's hit some kind of cosmic jackpot because he arrived with a unique number. And for his prize, our MC gets to make one wish. The only catch is he can't wish to become a god, which no duh. So our guy asks to get isekai'd into the world of a novel. The King of Hell is cool with it and asks him to name the novel he wants. The only rule is he can't pick any of the trash he wrote himself. He digs through his memories for a story he actually remembers and settles on a novel with a seriously questionable title. I Became the Delinquent Underachiever of Hunter School. On top of that, the king throws in 2 bonus favors. First, he wants to be dropped into the world 2 years before the main plot kicks off. And for his second wish, he asks to be celebrity-level handsome so he can finally have a shot with the ladies. And just like that, our MC's soul gets yeeted into the body of Kang Shin-hyuk, who is the trash character from the title. This guy totally bombed his aptitude test, landing him in a regular school, until a new law gave him another shot. After grinding away at his skills, he finally awakened as a hunter. Our MC quickly figures out this new life might be even worse than his last one, since he wasn't reborn as the main character. A flood of the body's original memories just confirms his fears. He now remembers exactly who this Kang Shin-hyuk character is. Turns out he's a swordsmanship instructor and the homeroom teacher for the class right next door to the actual protagonists. After a serious internal freakout, our MC opens his eyes and accepts his new reality. He's really and truly inside Kang Shin-hyuk's body. He immediately gets a call from the finance team at the Chase Guild, wanting to confirm the details of his contract termination. The person on the line tells him to give them a ring if he runs into any problems. Right after he hangs up, Kang gets a notification for a deposit of 38 million won into his account. This brings his total bank balance to a whopping 300 million. The moment he sees this, Kang's eyes go wide, and that whole cloud of trash character depression just evaporates. He hops off the bed and heads straight for the window, just soaking in the reality that he's now Kang Shin-hyuk. From what little he's seen of the original Kang's memories, the dude was struggling for real. But with a bank balance of 300 million, one RMC is pretty sure he's secured the bag. In his last life, he was barely scraping by. But now he's somehow tripped and fallen into a pile of cash he'd only ever dreamed of. Even with monsters running around, he's just hyped to be in modern-day South Korea. On top of that, he's a 25-year-old dude in his prime. He's also ridiculously good-looking with a totally ripped body. The guy has literally everything you could want: money, decent powers, killer looks, and to top it all off, he's still super young. Apparently he's already a B-rank hunter, though he isn't that wealthy. Nor is he as famous as the story's protagonist Lee Ji-sung. Kang doesn't give a damn though, since all he wants is a chill life. But here comes a crazy plot twist. The novel actually has not one but 2 main characters. The original protagonist was a guy named Kim Do-hyun, but then Lee Ji-sung got isekai'd right into Kim's body. Lee Ji-sung then uses his insider knowledge of the plot to totally game the system, hitting up all the hidden power-up spots. These were all locations that were supposed to give the OG protagonist his big breaks. Plus, he used his family's money to chug every kind of elixir imaginable, since they were super easy for him to get. After pulling all these moves, he finally managed to catch up to Kim's natural-born talent. Our MC's journey, however, is a whole different ballgame since he landed in Kang's body. He decides right away that he has zero interest in competing with the two protagonists. He knows he's not in their league to begin with, and he only wanted to be a main character to live a comfortable life anyway. So, honestly, he's totally cool with the hand he's been dealt as Kang. However, he knows a day is coming when the entire world is going to be thrown into a massive crisis. In the original plot, Kim and Lee teamed up to fight off the invaders and save humanity. Now that he is actually in the story, Kang wonders if those two can actually pull it off again. Because when things go south, they're pretty much the last hope for mankind. A moment later, Kang gets a text from the first hunter school, telling him he's been hired as the new swordsmanship instructor. After reading the message, Kang figures he'll just stick to the script and go with the flow of the original story. He'll play along until the world eventually implodes into chaos, before showing up at the school to start his new job as the swordsmanship instructor. Our MC takes a moment to check out the original owner's life, and realizes Kang's social life was just as pathetic. It's just like his past life. The dude has a grand total of 12 contacts on his phone, and it looks like he intentionally shut himself off from the world. Back in his old life, our MC had no interest in the things that got other people going, like marriage or having kids. He always claimed he preferred being alone, basically married to his web novels. It seems he'd lost all hope in himself after being a third-rate web novel author, but in this life, he's determined to enjoy every single second of it to the fullest. Shortly after he reports to the school where he's been appointed as an instructor, he walks into the staff room and excitedly introduces himself to the first person he sees. But the guy just stares at him like he's looking at a ghost. Kang is about to die from the sheer awkwardness when the dude finally gets up to say hello. The man introduces himself as Park Yong-suk and mentions that they'll be desk buddies. Kang breaks out into a huge grin. He says he's looking forward to working with Park. Just then, two women walk in and immediately start gushing over how handsome Kang is. Kang's face gets a little red, but he's not surprised or anything. He literally used a wish to get this handsome. They ask if he has any guild experience, and he casually reveals he just left the Chase Guild. The moment the ladies hear that, they start simping even harder, since that's a seriously top-tier guild. The women just keep showering him with praise until this green-haired dude named Jong Hyun-sik rolls up. He introduces himself as the spearmanship instructor for the second-year students. He also makes sure to brag that he was in the Hwarang Guild and graduated from the 6th Hunter School. Seeing how popular Kang is, Jong asks him which hunter school he's from. Rocking a huge smile, Kang drops a bomb on them. He never graduated from a hunter school. The instant he says that, the entire vibe in the room just completely dies. One of the girls asks him how in the world he managed to become a hunter without going to a proper academy. Their first guess is that he must have studied abroad, but Kang shuts that down, confirming he's a native Korean and reminding them that plenty of hunters never graduated from those fancy schools. That's the final nail in the coffin for the mood, and Jong just turns to leave, saying Kang is a total waste of his time. The girls scramble after him, whining about how they were so hyped to meet him since he was from the Chase Guild. But now the idea that he's a non-schooler just gives them the ick, and this sudden switch-up makes Kang feel super uneasy. This wave of anxiety actually triggers the system, which starts force-loading more memories from the body's previous owner. Turns out there's a hunter factor test kit, and it's the most legit way to check for hunter potential, if someone has hunter aptitude. The catch is that it's crazy expensive. At the orphanage where Kang grew up, the director actually embezzled all the money for the kits before he finally got arrested. It was only after that mess that Kang finally got tested, and they discovered he had the talent to be a hunter all along. The problem was he'd already finished regular school by then, which robbed him of the specialized education that hunter school grads get. The huge difference between the two sides eventually created a major social divide, but it sparked protests demanding an anti-non-hunter discrimination act. After a ton of public pressure, the bill was passed, and non-school grads finally started getting hired. However, this just cranked up the hatred between the two groups, which is why it's a terrible idea for anyone from a non-hunter school to ever reveal their background to a hunter school alum. Kang is floored. He can't believe he's just now learning this critical piece of info after he's already messed up big time. Park tells him to calm down. He says he gets it, it's Kang's first day, and things are already kicking off for him. Kang reassures Park that he's got nothing to complain about, since he kinda understands their elitist perspective. Kang even assumes he got into the school through some special connection, but Park sets him straight, explaining that he crushed the appointment exam. Not only that, he was actively scouted. Park just thinks the other teachers have completely misunderstood the situation. Meanwhile, Jong and the girls sneak off to a private spot to talk trash about how the school is making a huge mistake hiring a teacher through special treatment. Jong is absolutely convinced that Kang doesn't have the skills to teach swordsmanship to the first years. At the same time, Jong figures the school must have had some reason for assigning Kong to the freshman class. The trio pieces it together and concludes that Kang must have come from an orphanage, which would explain why he didn't attend a hunter school. They'll admit he's good-looking, but they think he has zero substance to back it up. One of the women even plans on telling the first-year students to find a different swordsmanship tutor because Kang is nothing but a fraud. And right on cue, Kang walks in on them while they're in the middle of clowning him. Kang tries to de-escalate the awkward situation between them by explaining that he wasn't hired because of any special favors, but Jong has zero chill and is not about to let things cool down. He tells Kang that he's way more concerned about the fact that he wasn't educated at a real hunter school. Jong storms off, telling Kang to mind his own business and stay in his lane, but sarcastically says he's free to go be buddies with the teachers for the general education subjects. One of the women then chimes in mentioning that Kang is a B-rank hunter, but Jong just scoffs at that positive that Kang must have finessed the system to get a rank like that. Model. So Jong pretty much throws down the gauntlet, telling Kang that if he's got a problem, they should settle it with a duel of honor. Jong's feeling extra confident, no cap, because he's literally about to level up to an A-rank hunter. It finally clicks for Kang why the dude who used to own this body was such a social outcast and couldn't make any friends. He remembers being a total failure in his own past life, and it dawns on him that they were basically two sides of the same unlucky coin. But Kang is so over taking L's, and he's not about to accept being a loser anymore. So he looks Jong straight in the eye and tells him he's ready to throw down in that. Jong just cracks up when he hears this, figuring Kong only agreed because his pride took a hit. And you know, because a couple of cute girls were watching the whole thing go down. Acting all high and mighty, Jong decides he'll give Kang one single chance to back out of the fight. But our boy Kang isn't backing down an inch, and insists that he absolutely wants this duel. Kang says he can't just stand by while Jong talks trash about him just because he didn't go to some fancy academy. Then Kong takes it up a notch, telling Jong he's cool with waiting to fight, until after Jong gets his big A-rank promotion. Jong's face twists into this seriously creepy horror movie grin as he reminds Kang that any injuries he gets are his own damn fault. It's all on him once the duel starts. Kang completely shuts him up, calls him bold, and sets the stage the spear training ground. The fight will happen in exactly 1 week, and Kang makes sure to point at the two ladies nearby. He calls them out, saying they're now official witnesses to the whole agreement. Jong is left wondering where the hell Kang is getting all this confidence from, but he just tells him to start polishing his resume, because after this his teaching career is definitely over. Later that day, Kang heads to his classroom, leaving all the students absolutely stunned at how handsome their new instructor is. At first, Kang was kind of freaking out about how he was supposed to teach these kids anything. But the second his hand touched a sword, it was like a switch flipped. Memories from the body's previous owner came rushing in, letting him demonstrate sword techniques like he'd been doing it his whole life. The morning went super smoothly, but the vibe completely changed that afternoon because gossip about the duel had already spread. It was the talk of the entire school. Kang's own students are looking at him like he's a dead man walking since he's about to fight the academy's spear instructor. Kang knows for a fact it was those two girls who spread the news because they're completely convinced that Jong is going to win. They're so sure he's going to come out on top in this fight. His students ask him if he's really going to be okay, but he just tells them not to get psyched out by someone's rank, because all you really need is a spirit that can't be broken. Kang puts on this super confident act for his students, telling them to just focus on their training since everyone will find out who the real winner is. He's just a week away from proving it, and he's acting this way just to pump up his students' morale. After school lets out, Kang hops on a bus heading for a very particular part of the city. He's about to completely change his destiny, and to do that he's going to the place where the story's main character found a massive power-up. This was the spot that gave the protagonist a serious boost to his abilities. Kang makes his way into a cave, thinking about how he has to find the secret that made the protagonist so cracked. He's not trying to be a hero or save the world, he just needs to get strong enough to win this duel. Before long, he finds a portal where the legendary internal cultivation method is supposed to be hidden. Without a second thought, he steps right through it and is instantly transported to a frozen snowy wilderness. Kang is absolutely blown away, having no idea a place like this even existed in their world. He's geeking out over the incredible view for a hot second, before he remembers why he's really there. All of a sudden, he feels this ridiculously powerful presence right behind him, followed by what feels like a sword swinging at his neck. At the last possible moment, Kang dives face first into the snow, dodging the strike that would have cut him in half, while still trying to figure out what's going on. That's when he hears a voice from behind which belongs to an old man decked out in a white robe. The man actually compliments Kang for dodging that sneak attack, saying he's clearly no ordinary dude. Before Kang can even process that a sword is pressed against his neck, and the old man demands to know what clan he belongs to and why he's trespassing on these snowy plains. Kang's brain totally short-circuits because this old dude is speaking straight-up Chinese, but somehow every single word is coming in crystal clear. He quickly figures out that the body's original owner must have been fluent. Kang cautiously raises a hand, trying to explain to the old man that he's just a teacher from the South Korean Hunter Academy who accidentally stumbled in through a portal. The old man just stares at him, completely bewildered. After hearing Kang's wild story, the geezer is pretty much convinced that our boy isn't playing with a full deck. Kang points right at the shimmering gateway, but bruh, the old man can't see a thing. The old-timer reveals he's been trapped in this space for ages so long that he just stopped counting after the 30-year mark. At first, Kang thinks the old dude is just spouting crazy talk, until he asks him if his name is Cho Yu Rei Young. The old man's eyes go wide, confirming his identity, and immediately demanding to know how Kang could possibly know. Turns out Kang knows, because Cho is the legendary master who actually wrote the cultivation manual our protagonist found. But seeing him here in the flesh is a total mind-bender, because in the original story, the protagonist never actually met him. Back when the main character found the martial arts book, it explicitly stated that Cho had already ascended to immortality. That's probably the biggest reason their paths never crossed in the novel. Kang suddenly recalls his one wish to be dropped into the story, 2 years before the main plot kicks off. It seems that gamble paid off, landing him in the timeline right before Cho's legendary ascension. Since Kang obviously can't say, "I read it in a book, bro," he plays it cool and claims he heard the epic tale a long time ago. Cho is totally intrigued and demands to hear the story, so Kang gives him the highlight reel saying Cho was a badass hero who slayed a terrifying dragon. Cho is low-key hyped that someone actually remembers his legendary battle, and Kang is just sweating with relief that the old man actually bought it. I mean, he literally just pieced that story together from random novel details on the spot. Thinking fast, Kang drops into a deep bow, begging Cho to teach him the way of the true sword. Cho is completely thrown off by this sudden plea for discipleship, and immediately shuts him down with a hard no. He tells Kang he won't kill him, but he better get lost right now. With that, the old master turns to leave. But our boy Kang is built different and refuses to back down. He blurts out that he's got an upcoming duel against a master spearman. Kang goes on this whole tangent about how everyone sleeps on swords nowadays, while spears get all the glory for being so versatile. He even admits that he stands zero chance against his opponent, which is why he desperately sought this hidden space for a power-up. But since the master isn't willing to help Kang's size and says he'll just go back and beg the spear dude for mercy, admitting that spears are the superior weapon. Hearing his life's passion get trashed like that is the last straw. Cho's pride can't take it, and he finally agrees to help him out a little. Kang is internally screaming with joy. His reverse psychology totally worked on the ridiculously proud swordmaster. Cho points a single finger at Kang and zaps him with some kind of energy, causing him to collapse in absolute agony. Cheo explains that he just shot a dose of potent vital yang energy straight into his meridians. He reassures him that his Dantian will be unlocked in 4 days, and he'll start feeling the insane power boost in 6. Cho lets Kang know that with this tiny bit of help, he'll never have to worry about getting his butt kicked by anyone, ever again. The master then tells Kang that he's welcome to return, but only after he's won the duel. Cho wants the world to know that the sword is still the undisputed king of weapons. A week later, Kang and Zhang face off at the spear training grounds for their big showdown. As expected, a bunch of other teachers are there to watch the drama unfold. Zhang immediately starts running his mouth, telling Kang to get ready for a world of hurt. Zhang clearly doesn't see Kang as a threat, and cockily tells him he can even have the first move. Kang isn't about to turn down that offer, especially since he's not 100% sure if his new power-up is enough to take this guy on. Without a second of hesitation, Kang launches himself into the air, absolutely determined to win this thing. He lands a solid hit, and believe it or not, that one strike is so powerful, it rips Zhang's clothes clean off, leaving him in nothing but his underwear. Everyone watching is completely speechless as Zhang crashes to the ground and passes out cold. Even Kang can't believe what just happened, and the ref lifts his hand declaring him the winner. The referee immediately screams for an ambulance because Zhang is completely out for the count. Kang's just frozen on the spot, totally shook. He's trying to process what the hell old man Cho did to his body when Park comes rushing over, snapping him out of it. Park is absolutely losing his mind, hyping Kang up for dropping Hong with just a single hit. Riding the high, Kang tells Park and the crew that dinner's on him tonight to celebrate the big win. A couple of the ladies storm out of the gym looking salty as hell that Zhang got bodied by Kang. Later that night, Kang and the team hit the town for some well-deserved partying. They throw back a ton of drinks, but when Kang gets home, his body starts doing this insane self-purification thing. It's all thanks to whatever voodoo the old man pulled on his system. Kang wakes up mind-blown, realizing the old dude's help was way more than he ever bargained for. Because of this, he knows he's got to head back to that hidden world, and he also figures he should probably thank Cho for the assist. So Kang treks back through the freezing-ass wasteland. He's low-key wondering if Cho was capping about being stuck there when he finds the old man just chilling and meditating. Cho asks him if he took care of the spear user, and Kang confirms that, yeah, he handled business. In fact, he did it with a single strike. Hearing this, Cho just scoffs that the spear wielder must have been a total scrub. But Kang ain't having it. He claps back that the guy was no joke, and he needs some answers, which is why he came back. Kang straight up asks Cho what the hell he did to him, and the old man just casually says he opened his dantian. You know, just so he wouldn't get his ass handed to him. The old-timer then asks Kang how long he's been practicing martial arts. This gets Cho way more interested, so he tells Kang to come closer and spill the tea. It finally clicks for Kang that his new power-up is all thanks to martial arts. He then breaks it to the old man that he knows literally nothing about martial arts. Cho is completely flabbergasted by this, saying he definitely sensed some internal energy flowing inside him. He figured it must have built up on its own since Kang is always swinging a sword around. Now Kang knows his stuff from reading all those martial arts novels. In those stories, internal energy comes from training, but for hunters it's a whole different ballgame. He then asks Cho what his country was called before he got trapped in the portal. Cho tells him his country was Ming, and the second he says it, a light bulb goes off for Kang. He finally gets why Cho is so clueless. Bruh, this dude is from an entirely different world. Kang then explains to Cho that the world he remembers is long gone because martial arts basically don't exist in the outside world anymore. Cho is stunned to hear this, but Kang continues saying a new kind of power emerged which caused martial arts to slowly vanish. Kang figures this story is an easier pill to swallow than trying to explain he's from another dimension. And of course, Cho totally buys it without a second thought. He admits that being stuck in the portal for so long has made him completely lose track of all time. Kang then asks the old guy if he's hungry, letting him know he brought some snacks. He hands Cho a sweet roll, and the old man devours it like it's a 5-star meal. Cho starts reminiscing about how folks back in his day would eat ginseng to prevent smallpox. Hearing that, Kang reaches into his inventory and pulls out a chocolate bar for the old fella. He tells him it's great for the cold, so Cho decides he'll give it a shot. The moment he bites down, he goes into that same blissed-out trance as before. Cho is absolutely loving the chocolate bar. He's so into it that he immediately asks Kang for more. In no time, Cho has demolished all the junk food Kang brought for him, admitting that the food from the outside world just hits different. This gets Kang wondering, so he asks the old man how he's been dealing with hunger since there's no food in sight. Not even the local wildlife. That's when Cho drops a total bombshell. He blurts out that ever since he got to this hidden realm, he hasn't even felt hungry. Apparently all he needs is the chi in the air, and he's good to go. It clicks for Kang that he's dealing with a martial arts lunatic, and his first instinct is to just dip and run straight home. After Cho gets the confirmation that martial arts are basically extinct and hunters are the new hotness. He admits he's been on a quest to become immortal this whole time. Since the outside world is a total martial arts dead zone, Cho figures Kang has got to be the last one standing. Cho can tell Kang's tasted what real power feels like, so he hits him with the big question, what are you gonna do with it? Kang just kinda mumbles about wanting a normal, happy life, which leaves Cho completely floored, but low-key impressed. So, he finally asks for a proper intro. Cho can sense that Kang has zero greed, and he also has the vibe of a teacher. Seeing all these solid traits, Cho straight up tells Kang he's down to take him on as his one and only disciple. But in a move nobody saw coming, Kang shuts that offer down point blank. Cho's so taken aback he has to ask again just to make sure his ears aren't playing tricks on him. But Kang sticks to his guns, telling the old man he has absolutely zero interest in getting any stronger. He explains that he just needed enough juice to win that one duel, and since he got it, he's ready to bounce and get back to his chill normal life. And hearing him say that the old master knows he's not capping. So Cho's like, "Aight, you're free to go," explaining that he needs to prep for his own ascension. But then Kang gets curious and asks him how exactly he's planning to level up to the realm of the immortals. Cho lays it all out. His plan is to reach the absolute peak of martial arts, which by the way he's already done. He adds that another way is by building up virtue, and he's checked that box too by helping Kang out. He tells Kang all that's left for him is a little more cultivation, and then poof, he's ascending. And since he's about to piece out of this mortal coil, he sees no point in leaving his techniques or manuals behind, which hits Kang like a ton of bricks. Cho just shrugs, adding that it's not like there's anyone left who could even read them anyway. After all, the martial arts world outside is completely dead. Kang never expected this wild turn of events. Without those techniques and secrets, the main villain Xiong won't be able to get his hands on them. If Xiong can't get those skills, he'll never be a real threat to the original protagonist Kim, who will then have zero motivation to get stronger. In the end, this means the world is totally screwed and headed for absolute destruction. It finally dawns on Kang that by trying to stay on the sidelines, he's accidentally derailed a massive plot point. So, Kang does a complete 180 and immediately starts begging the old man to take him as his disciple, saying he totally didn't think that through before making his decision. Cho is obviously surprised by the sudden flip-flop, but Kang explains it'd be a crime for all the master's incredible martial arts to just vanish. Kang frames it like he wants to learn the techniques now, so he can just chill and enjoy life later, trying to sweet-talk the old master. To really seal the deal, Kang promises to bring him tons and tons of food. Cho warns him that the training is going to be 100 times worse than hell itself, but Kang just says, bring it on. Meanwhile, back at school, news of the duel has gone completely viral. Not just that Jong got wrecked, but that he was rocking SpongeBob underwear. Everyone he ever bullied is now roasting him in the group chat, and it's obvious that Park, for one, can't stand Jong. That's one reason he was so satisfied seeing Kang lay him out. Kang's win also proved a point to some people, that kids who graduated from regular schools have skills too. On top of that, everyone's digging Kang's whole vibe, especially because he didn't even ask for a reward. Little do they know, our boy just straight up forgot to. Still, Kang is loving the warm welcome he's getting from everyone at school. He feels like he's finally getting one step closer to his dream life, since he's already told Cho that he'll only be training on the weekends. His plan is to just live it up during the week as he strolls into his classroom. He walks in to find his students standing at attention, and the second he's through the door, they all snap into a salute out of pure respect. His students promise him they're going to keep that confident energy up, just like he taught them. Turns out word has already gotten around that Kong totally demolished Jong. This has Kong wondering how they found out, since only the staff were supposed to have seen that beatdown. Apparently one of the kids has an older bro who's a teacher there, and my guy spilled all the tea. Kong cracks a smile, telling the kids to get their books out and lock in for the lecture. No cap, Kong is absolutely thrilled. He's really vibing with this peaceful life he's got now, and he's not planning on letting it go. So during his lunch break, Kong hits up the cafeteria for some grub, but things get kinda awkward real quick. The lunch lady is giving him the side eye, cause he's asking for way more food than a normal person. But Kong just strolls over to his table, grinning from ear to ear because his plate is stacked high with all kinds of good stuff. Our boy is just trying to enjoy his meal when some random lady pops up asking if he's the Mr. Kong who teaches swordsmanship at the academy. Kong's like, yep, that's me, but low-key, he's more focused on the absolute mountain of food piled on her plate. She just plops herself down at his table, which forces Kong to ask if he even knows her. The lady just smirks and says he's a pretty good actor. She tells Kang to just chill out, pointing out that there aren't any security cameras in the cafeteria. The way she's talking to him makes it super obvious that this woman definitely knows who he is. The weird part is, he has no idea who she is. Usually whenever he meets someone from the original Kong's life, all the old memories come flooding back. If he runs into someone he knows, those memories are supposed to just hit him. Seeing that Kong is genuinely playing dumb, the woman finally spills her name. She introduces herself as Seora, and the second he hears it, a light bulb goes off in Kong's head. That name rings a bell. He remembers seeing a Seora saved in his phone contacts. Seora flashes a grin, thinking Kong has finally put two and two together. She explains that she looks a little different, because she tweaked her style to fit the whole teacher vibe for her new job at the school. Seora is just laughing her head off through this whole explanation. Meanwhile, poor Kang is just sitting there completely lost and wondering what the hell is going on. Then it hits him. Kang recalls that in the original novel, this chick Seora ends up becoming the main character Seong's homeroom teacher. She's also a major player in the second volume because she's a member of the international criminal organization called Antagonist. So, yeah, she's basically a villain. And right on cue, more of the original Kong's memories start rushing back. So this group Antagonist, also known as Antos, is a full-blown anti-hunter organization. These guys have taken out countless hunters, making them public enemy number one for the International Hunter Alliance. But the thing is, this group is super slippery. They operate completely in the shadows, which makes them almost impossible to catch. Seora can tell Kong is still tense as hell, so she tells him again to just relax. She keeps saying there's no surveillance, but Kong is bugging out. He read the entire novel, and he definitely doesn't remember the part where his character ever joined a criminal organization. Right then, the system dings him with a notification a side story has just been unlocked. Basically, Kang is about to get railroaded into a story that casts him as an Antos assassin, and this revelation absolutely shakes him to his core. He's freaking out because he has zero memories of the original Kang ever being part of Antos. But then it clicks, the main novel was finished. But he remembers the author saying in an interview that a side story was in the works. The system tells him he can check out the prologue for this new side story, and you bet he opens that thing immediately. It flashes back to his early days in the guild, where he had a partner named Chong-Su. Chong-Su was actually the guy who snitched on the corrupt orphanage director and saved Kang's life 2 years prior. The memory shows the two of them coming back from a mission when suddenly a new portal rips open right next to them, unleashing a swarm of monsters on them. They called for backup, but with another squad also in deep trouble, their calls for help went completely unanswered. Kang looked up to Chang-Su as his big brother, the only family he really had, but Chang-Su had to make the ultimate sacrifice so Kang could survive. After Chang-Su's death, the guild just sent a cold report saying they didn't have the resources to help. Claiming monsters had also popped up in the city. So they pulled the classic excuse of having to sacrifice a few to save the many. But our boy Kang was no idiot. He knew this whole thing reeked of guild politics and factions. Both he and Chang-Su were from a regular school, not some elite academy, so they were always getting shafted and pushed aside. Pissed off by all of it, Kang requested a transfer overseas and got shipped to China, only to come back to Korea a year later. Just as he was seriously thinking about quitting the guild for good, this woman Seora slid into his DMs, suggesting he check out a group called Antas. So that's pretty much the backstory. And it turns out the original Kang had some serious baggage. The moment Seora approached him, he didn't hesitate to join, and even started forking over half his income. Apparently, this dude once asked Seora out, got shot down, and then donated to her organization as a way to cope. He tried to play it all cool by saying they should just be friends, but it was a total simp move. It gets worse, he actually applied to the hunter school, just so he could be in her orbit. Our MC is absolutely losing his mind over how pathetic the original Kang was, joining a criminal organization over a girl instead of for revenge. Kang is still processing these cringe memories when Seora asks if he's doing all right. He's literally shaking from the revelation, but manages to nervously say he's fine. Bruh, he thought he was finally getting his life together, but now he's a member of a full-blown crime syndicate. You can't make this up. Seora then says she's pretty impressed he managed to get hired by the school, since landing that job is notoriously difficult. Turns out the original Kang passed the exam on his first try, which just goes to show you the insane power of simping. She then asks him how he's settling in, and he just replies that he's getting by. Then Siora drops a guilt trip mentioning she was a little hurt when she heard he got the job, and didn't even bother to tell her. Kang just mumbles that things were hectic, but she quickly changes the subject, asking why he hasn't sent this month's donation yet. Hearing this, Kang realizes there's no way in hell he's going to keep funneling money to these people and end up broke when he retires. Seora is visibly shocked when Kang tells her flat out that he's done sending donations. But she's not actually pissed, probably because he's already given them a mountain of cash in the past. Plus, Kang's a teacher now, and everyone knows they don't exactly make bank. It's not like they can expect him to donate from his tiny paycheck. Seora then reveals that all the donations were voluntary anyway, and when our MC hears this, he can't believe what a massive pushover the original Kang was. Changing the subject again, Seora mentions that his hunter rank has probably shot up since he bodied that B-rank hunter. She gives him this charming smile, saying she wants them to change the world together. But all Kang hears is a clear invitation to help her burn it all down. This is a criminal organization after all. Antaz has a weird rule though. They don't mess with civilians or innocents, and they're not even allowed to touch Hunter, school students unless it's an absolute last resort. Kang quickly figures out that Seora's main role in Antis is likely recruiting promising students from the inside. But that's about all he knows, since it's the only info he got from reading the novel. Now he's just wondering what other secrets might be hiding in the side stories he never read. So Kang asks Seora what his mission is, and she tells him to just focus on adjusting to his new life at school for now. She even encourages him to make a few friends while he's at it. Kang pushes for more details, saying he needs to know more to make proper plans, but Seora just gets up to leave. She tells him they'll have to meet up regularly if he wants more intel, and suggests getting together on the last Tuesday of every month. He asks why Tuesdays of all days, and Seora explains that there are no work dinners scheduled for the faculty on Tuesdays. So it's the perfect time for them to meet up and grab dinner. And with that, Seora takes her leave. When the weekend hits, Kang is right back to his training with Cho. The old man is low-key impressed with Kang's progress, so he decides to write up a secret manual to help him guide his inner energy circulation. The goal is to perfectly sync it with his martial arts techniques. Cho explains to Kang that he's basically opened the door to his Dantian, but it's now up to him to actually master what's inside. The old man lets him know he's got to get into a daily practice of circulating his internal energy through his entire body. To really get it down, he needs to do it every single day. Instead of replying, Kang just drops into a meditation pose, which immediately earns him a solid bonk on the head. He screams out in pain, telling the geezer he's completely messing up his focus. But Cho isn't buying it for a second, saying Kang wasn't focused to begin with, because he can tell he's super troubled. He can see it just from the way his inner energy is flowing all over the place. Kang is shook, realizing the old man can literally sense his anxieties just by watching his energy flow. Cho just shrugs, saying that energy flow is as basic as breathing. He tells Kang he can tell him whatever's on his mind because he's totally open to helping him out. So, Kang asks the old dude a heavy question. He wants to know if he looks like a good person or a bad one. Joe just replies that doing good or bad is entirely his own choice. He says that's a worry only for people who actually have power. He tells Kang that in any war, the losers are always painted as the bad guys. I mean, they're dead, so it's not like they can argue their side of the story. Cho mentions that without power, concepts like good or bad are pretty much just illusions. He points out that everyone who got involved in the last Great War, whether they were on the side of good or were part of the evil blood cult, all met an early grave. After dropping all this wisdom on him, Cho asks Kang if any of that was helpful, and he admits that it was. Without missing a beat, Cho then demands that Kang go fetch him a chocolate bar. That last bit of advice from Cho really hit different for Kang, because it means it doesn't matter if he's on the good side or the bad side. As long as he's in the game, he's at risk of dying in the war. Bruh Kang is just a guy who wants to make some cash and enjoy his life. And this whole thing is the exact opposite of that. This realization makes Kang immediately request a meeting with Seora. Seora is pretty surprised that Kang is already hitting her up for another meeting when they had plans for the end of the month. Looking dead serious, Kang tells Seora that he really needs to talk to her about something. He then asks if he's free to just quit. This question immediately triggers a scary AF reaction from Seora, who lunges at his head with a fork. Everyone else in the restaurant is completely shocked by this, and they all start assuming Kang must have cheated on his girlfriend. Kang was definitely expecting a crazy reaction, but he didn't think Seora would take it quite this far in public. Seora then demands a much better explanation for what he just said. Kang promises he'll explain everything, but suggests they leave the restaurant since they've got way too much attention on them now. Kang says they should head to his car because he has some things he needs to show her. A few moments later, the two of them get into his vehicle and start driving towards Incheon. Seora asks the dude why in the world they're driving all the way out to Incheon. He tells her he needs to show her something, because just talking about it won't cut it. Seora still has the fork pressed against Kang's neck, telling him he better start explaining what he meant back in the restaurant. Kang finally explains that he only joined Antis because of all the BS discrimination against people who didn't graduate from a hunter school. But now he really believes that things are finally starting to change. Seora just scoffs at Kang, thinking it's hilarious he believes the world has changed just because he won one duel. Kang says he's not 100% positive, but he can at least see a possibility now. Kang tells her he wants to try doing things his own way without getting Antos involved. He feels like Antos's way of handling things is a little too extreme for his liking. Kang continues saying there's a lot about Antis that just doesn't align with his own values, like all the terrorism, and he's not cool with the way they kill people without even thinking twice about it. Seora then mentions that not all of the terror attacks were actually caused by Antis. Some of them were pinned on the organization by the government. She straight up says that every single person who died had it coming. Kong immediately claps back, telling her that nobody deserves to die, period. Shura is absolutely fuming that Kong's stressing over missions he isn't even running, but Kong just owns up to it and says he's terrified. He then begs Shura to just put the fork down, man. Sora backs off a little, but the damage is done. There's already a mark on his neck. Kong isn't stupid. He knows dipping on a criminal organization isn't going to be a walk in the park. But you best believe he came ready for this smoke. Kong tells Sora to pull up the news about the assassination of Min Young Seok, the deputy director of the Hunter Management Agency. Turns out Min Young Seok was dirty and had embezzled tens of billions. Kong's like, okay, that dude deserved to get clapped, but he's not convinced his driver and the two other passengers did. Those guys were just caught up in the truck collision and had nothing to do with it. The driver, for instance, had already lost his wife years ago. He was a single dad raising his daughter all on his own. And get this, the guy wasn't even a full-time employee. He was just a contract driver for the management agency. And just like that, he ended up dead. This left his little girl an orphan with no parents at all. So Kang asks Seora straight up if the driver was in on Min Young Seok's corruption scheme. Seora just calmly says, no, he wasn't. Low-key in the original story, that driver's daughter is Lee Soa, and she's set to play a massive role later on, especially once she gets all tangled up with our main character. Kong points out to Seora that after Min Young got taken out, some people were actually praising Antos for exposing his dirty dealings. But in all that noise, the driver's story just got swept under the rug. Seora's genuinely shocked to hear this. She argues there must be some mistake because the rules are crystal clear they are not supposed to touch civilians. Kong just scoffs at that. He asks Seora if she seriously thinks that driver was the only civilian who's died just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time near an Antos target. Hearing this, Seora clutches her head, a mix of pain and frustration washing over her. Deep down, she knows he's right, but she's been trying to ignore it. Kong can see he's finally getting through to her. He's thinking that maybe, just maybe, things will be easier from here on out. But then out of nowhere, Seora flips the script and asks Kong if he has any idea why she shot down his proposal. Kong's like, isn't it a little late for this convo? But Seora shoves the fork right back to his neck, telling him to shut up and listen. Seora reveals that both her parents were killed in the Great Portal accident from 15 years back. It all went down when she was just a little kid. Kang is completely floored by this revelation, because this tea was definitely not spilled in the novel. He figures it must be part of some side story he never got to. Kang admits that Seora must have gone through hell, but he's still not seeing the connection to why she rejected his offer. Seora just digs the fork deeper into his neck, which gets him begging real quick. He promises her that he'll keep his mouth shut. That's when Seora reveals the portals that popped up in her neighborhood were the highest rated ones. We're talking 4 D-rank portals and 2 C-rank portals. Her area was clearly ground zero and needed the most help. It was even close to the association, but not a single hunter showed up. Meanwhile, dozens of hunters were dispatched to the rich neighborhoods, where only weak-ass F-rank portals had opened. Kong's mind is blown. This sounds like a massive incident, but he has zero memory of reading about it in the novel. Seora then explains that the media did report on the incident, but the rich folks who got protection, they just threw money at the problem until it went away. Sayora admits she would have been completely in the dark if she hadn't dug deep to find out the truth for herself. It finally clicks for Kang that Sayora might have gone to a hunter academy, and this was the moment everything changed for her. This is exactly why she landed at Antos, a total mess. Through her tears, Sayora tries to explain why she turned him down. But so far, her entire story has just been about what happened to her parents. Sayora finally drops the bomb she actually did like Kang, but she can't even think about romance until she gets justice for her family. She wants Kang to ask her to marry him again, but only after she's settled her score. In the car, Kang just facepalms. He's thinking, what kind of parent would ever want their kid to join a legit terrorist group just for revenge? Kang knows the original guy whose body he's in would have jumped at the chance to help Sayora, but our MC is built different. He has absolutely zero emotional attachment to this girl. Kang figures his life would be way easier if he just bounced, especially since he already knows how everything is going to play out. Yeah, reading the novel ahead of time is a serious cheat. Just as Kang is about to mentally cut Sayora loose and go live his best life, he suddenly feels the ghost of the old Kong. A hand touches his shoulder, begging him for help. Our MC is so shook by this that he nearly smashes into another car. He only snaps out of it when Sayora screams his name, reminding him to watch the road. Sayora thinks Kang is just cracking under the pressure of the mission and promises she'll handle things. But Kang is still bugging out from what he saw. He turns to Sayora and asks if she even knows who she's supposed to get revenge on. The question totally catches her off guard, and she asks if he's suddenly changing his tune about helping her. But Kang just cuts her off, telling her to just answer the damn question. Sayora finally spills that the director of the Hunter Management Agency at the time was a guy named Kim In-hak, but she's positive he wasn't acting alone. Kang immediately points out the obvious. If Kim was already a director 15 years ago, the dude must be insanely powerful by now. Sayori then asks if he's taking back his plan to quit, but Kang shoots that down. Nah, he's still quitting, but he says he's gonna help Sayora personally. Now Sayora is just plain confused. She asks him how he thinks he can possibly help her, when this is a mission that even Antis is struggling with. Kim isn't some random dude they can just walk up to. But Kang reassures her that while it seems impossible now, it's gonna get a whole lot easier later on. See, Kang knows that Kim is now a congressman who just keeps climbing the political ladder until the novel's protagonist finally takes him down. Meanwhile, in that same future, Sayora gets exposed as an Antos agent and is thrown in jail. And even though she avoids the death penalty, she gets slapped with life in prison, no chance of parole. All of that bad news is set to happen just 3 years from their current timeline. And since our boy Kang already knows all the spoilers, he tells Sayora flat out that Antis isn't going to help her get revenge. Not really. Sayora demands to know how he could possibly know that, but Kang can't exactly tell her he read her future in a book. He'll have to show her. So Kang lays down a condition of his own. He'll help her get her revenge, but she has to leave Antis and come with him. Sayora is completely shocked. She tells Kang there's no way she can get revenge on her own. Without Antis, it's impossible, but Kang insists, telling her she'll get it once they get where they're going. Turns out they're headed straight to the source of Antis's cash flow, a place where they're slinging drugs. A few minutes later, they pull up to what looks like a normal clothing shop. This is Kang's first time here in person, but he knows this fashion brand is just a front for their real business. This store is basically the main hub for Antis's Chinese drug distribution network in Korea. Kang strolls up to the guy at the counter and in fluent Chinese asks if they happen to sell Genesis there. The attendant tries to play dumb, but Kang isn't having it. He lets the guy know he's aware of the whole operation and just wants to buy some. While acting like he has no idea what's going on, the attendant slowly reaches for something under the counter. He suddenly whips out a knife, tells Kang to get lost, and snarls that they only sell wholesale. A smirk plays on Kang's face. He casually lets the attendant know he got his info straight from Malin. Then Kang hits him with a low-key threat, asking for his name so he can be sure to mention it to Malin. The attendant is totally shook when he hears this, never expecting some random dude to be connected with Malin. Kang lays it on thick, claiming he and Malin were tight back in China, and she's the one who tipped him off about the Korean distribution point. No cap. This is a massive lie because Malin is actually the daughter of Anta's big boss in China. She's also the shot caller in charge of the entire drug distribution operation in Korea. Since Kang's a total nobody, there's zero chance he actually knows someone that high up the food chain. Kang is just pulling this name out of his hat as a complete last resort. He even offers to give Malin a call right then and there if the guy has any doubts. But he adds a warning telling him to be ready for whatever hellfire comes next. The attendant immediately starts bowing and scraping, apologizing for the mix-up and saying he had no idea Kang was a VIP. The guy then scurries to the back to get the product, and Kang tells him to grab as much as he possibly can. As soon as he's gone, Sayora asks Kang what on earth they were discussing in Chinese. Kang just tells her straight up that they came to buy drugs, knowing she won't believe it until she sees it with her own eyes. He drops the bomb that they're standing in a drug distribution front for Antis, and Sayora is completely floored. This is literally the first time she's ever heard that Antos was even involved in making drugs. For some context, Antis only became public knowledge after our main character showed up on the scene. Antos Korea and Antos China eventually started beefing over how to split the profits, and that's when our MC stepped in to clean house. Kang tells Sayora that if she still doesn't believe him, he'll get the attendant to speak Korean when he comes back out. A few moments later, the attendant returns, hauling a huge load of drugs, telling Kang they just set up shop. He explains that's the reason their supply isn't massive just yet. The stash he brought out is still worth about a month's worth of sales though. All he asks is for Kang to put in a good word for him with Malin. Kang promises he will, but then suggests they switch over to Korean, which makes the attendant glance nervously at Sayora. But Kang just plays it cool, assuring him it's fine, since she's also a massive Genesis fiend. The vibe gets super awkward, and Sayora tries to save face with a thumbs up, which honestly just makes her look like a crackhead. This is more than enough to convince the attendant that Sayora needs an intervention, not more product. Kang then switches gears and asks the attendant when the next batch of supplies is supposed to arrive. The attendant reveals it's going to be a hot minute before it actually gets to Korea. But he figures it might show up faster now that someone close to Malin like Kang is involved. Sayora then whispers to Kang, asking him if this Malin person is even real, or if he just made her up. Kang tells her there's no way he would risk his neck coming into a place like this without being 100% sure. He knows Malin is a top-tier executive, and there's not a chance in hell Sayora would ever run into her. The attendant then asks Kang how he's planning to pay for the huge supply he just brought out, and Kang asks if he can use a card. The attendant just busts out laughing at that. He says cards are a definite no-go and tells him to stop joking around and just pay with cash. So, Kang proposes a different deal. He offers to pay in installments, but the dealer is absolutely not having it. Suddenly, with zero warning, Kang decks the attendant with a crazy powerful punch to the head. He focused all his internal energy into his fist, a technique the old man taught him that can apparently cause brain amnesia. The attendant is out cold on the ground, and while Kang knows he'll probably wake up brain dead, he really doesn't care. In his eyes, the guy is just a low-life substance dealer who had it coming. Kang then coolly turns to Sayora, asking if she finally believes what he's been saying. He tells her she's still free to have her doubts if she wants. Sayora is completely stunned and asks him how in the world he knows all of this stuff. Kang reveals he only joined the association because she suggested it, but after he got in, he started doing his own investigations to figure out what kind of crew he was getting involved with. Kong drops a bomb, saying he found out Antas was dealing in some shady substances back when he was stationed in China. With that out in the open, Kong suggests they need to bounce from the store immediately. But first, they're going to make sure the unconscious dude takes the fall for everything that went down. Kong has zero plans to snitch to the cops, knowing Antas would just replace the dealer and pop up a new shop somewhere else in a heartbeat. It wouldn't even faze them. At this point, Sayora finally tells Kong she believes every single word he's told her. Because of all this, she comes up with a plan to explain his sudden resignation to the higher-ups. She lets Kang know she's going to tell the big bosses that he was constantly hitting on her and making things weird. That's the excuse she'll use for kicking him out. She's confident it's a solid story that will shut down any further investigation. Kang doesn't love the idea, but even he admits it's probably the cleanest way out. Suddenly, a realization hits him like a truck. Sayora has absolutely no intention of quitting, even after learning how messed up the organization is. Sayora just reminds him that she's been a part of the association for a very long time. She's not some newbie. She's practically an officer at this point. She already knows way too much, and they're not just going to let her walk away clean. The weight of what Sayora's saying finally sinks in for Kang. He's just a rookie in their world, while Sayora is tangled up in it deep. Kong wants to argue, but then he hesitates. He realizes that if Sayora leaves Antis now, the entire future he knows could get seriously messed up. So, he decides Sayora has to stay put in Antis, at least until the story's original protagonist finally exposes the crime syndicate. Kong then asks Sayora a heavy question. Has she ever actually committed a crime during any of her missions for Ontas? Sayora says no, telling Kong her main gig is just scouting students who have a lot of potential. But it's not exactly an easy job, so she hasn't actually managed to recruit anyone yet. Kong is super relieved to hear this, and he tells Sayora he's got a new plan. He wants her to become a double agent. Sayora is totally stunned to hear this, but Kong insists it's the best way to protect her. You know, just in case they decide she's become a loose end. He tells Sayora to start collecting all of Antas's dirty little secrets and feed them to the police. As for any missions Antas sends her on, she'll just take all the garbage dead-end assignments. By playing the part of a double agent, she won't have any charges hanging over her head when it all comes crashing down. Sayora pushes back, saying she has nothing she can tell the police right now, but Kang isn't hearing it. He lets her know that even the smallest scraps of information would be a huge help. He then gives Sayora his word that he'll testify for her if she ever gets into real trouble. But Kong also warns her not to get too comfortable trusting him, because he will 100% cut her loose if things go south. Sayora just smiles, taking all this to mean that Kong obviously has a crush on her. Kong, on the other hand, just gives her a look of pure disgust. He tells Sayora she can think whatever she wants. He couldn't care less. Then Kang tells her to find her own way back to Seoul, because he's got something else he needs to take care of. Even after that, Sayora is convinced Kang is just playing hard to get. After leaving her behind, Kang heads straight to the Hidden Realm to see the old man. Joe immediately points out that Kong is late and asks him if he sorted out the issue that was weighing on him. Kong says yeah, and thanks Joe for the solid advice. Joe tells him that's great, but he's still getting punished for showing up late. Turns out Kang already had something cooked up for the old man. He tells him he swung by Chinatown on the way over and picked up some high-quality bamboo leaf liquor. Then he tells the old man he doesn't have to drink it since they're supposed to be training and all. Bruh, the old man has absolutely zero resistance to good booze and immediately calls for a day off. Moments later, Cho is chilling enjoying the drink with some tofu. While praising Kong's excellent taste, he asks him how on earth he knew he was from Sichuan. Kang's just standing there completely baffled that the old geezer who was just chewing him out is now happily chugging the liquor he brought. The old man tries to play it off, claiming he was just worried, because Kang was running a bit later than usual. Cho then calls him out, asking what's with the sudden personality swap, since Kang was totally slacking on his training before. But now, all of a sudden, he's ready to grind non-stop, while Cho is just over there kicking back and relaxing. We see Kang going hard, swinging his sword and drilling his moves over and over. Kang explains the drink was just a thank you gift for the old man's advice, but now he's ready to go all out in his training. He knows his choice to back Sayora is going to put a massive target on his back from some seriously powerful people, and no cap. This part was never in the novel. There was no timeline where Sayora ever became a double agent. Kang's well aware that he's already built different, probably strong enough to clap an A-rank hunter. But he's not delusional. He knows facing a top-tier Antes official like Mei Lin is a one-way ticket to the grave, which makes him crack a little smile. It hits different when he remembers he's just supposed to be some B-rank sword instructor who has no business saving anyone. The original story's protagonist, Xion, literally just stumbled upon a manual, and that's how he started to power up. It took that dude countless training sessions and chugging a ton of elixirs to get strong. Kang, on the other hand, basically hit the lottery by having a legendary sword grandmaster forcibly open his dantian, and while he's busy practicing, Cho is just vibing, absolutely inhaling some delicious-looking tofu. Seeing how absurdly powerful Cho is, Kang figures he might actually have a shot at surviving what's coming. That is, if he can get this old man to train him constantly, but just then Cho yells out for Kang. He's complaining that they're out of his favorite ramen and tells Kang to go buy some more, along with another tasty ingredient he's craving. This whole situation is really starting to get on Kang's last nerve. He's got to keep his cool though, because he knows Cho is probably the strongest person on the entire planet. So, Kang just grits his teeth and tells Cho he'll pick up all the snacks he likes. But as he's about to leave, the old man just keeps adding more and more stuff to the shopping list. Kang just agrees to get him everything he wants before getting right back to his training. But the old man's loud eating is making it impossible to focus. Every delicious smell drifts right past his nose until he finally can't take it anymore. He just has to say something. He tells the old man to stop eating so much, but Cho has zero chill and just asks Kang if he wants a bite. That's when Cho reveals he had actually lost his sense of taste for years and is just now getting to enjoy food again. But Kang won't stop nagging him, so Cho gets annoyed and just smacks him right upside the head. Cho explains he's finally tasting things again after so long, and admits that he actually likes seeing Kang so motivated. But he warns him that trying to rush things is just going to blow up in his face. Kang snaps back, screaming that it doesn't seem like the old man is even remotely interested in his training. Cho casually tells Kang he's actually doing great on his own, adding that the kid is destined to be a big shot. But he follows it up by saying he can't get there by trying to speedrun his growth. Kang isn't buying it though. He's been grinding for a whole month and feels like he's not getting any better. Cho argues back, saying the only reason Kang can't feel the difference is because he's a natural talent. What really gets Cho is how Kang suddenly has this desperate need to get stronger out of nowhere. Kang yells at the old man, saying he's way more focused on his ramen than on correcting his sword stance. He then demands that if Cho isn't going to teach him properly, he should at least give him some shortcuts. Asking for that just earns him another solid punch to the dome. Cho gets on his case for asking for cheat codes when he's barely even started his training. As Kang rolls around in the snow in pain, Cho sarcastically asks if he's planning on world domination or something. He's basically asking why he's in such a massive hurry to become so OP. Kang just glares at him with pure disgust, and the old man threatens to smack him one more time. Cho lays down some truth, telling him martial arts isn't something you can just learn overnight. Right then, Kang decides to hit him where it hurts. He tells the old man that if he doesn't help, he can say goodbye to ever eating ramen again. With prices skyrocketing, Cho can't believe his ears when the dude starts getting real with him. But Kang fires back, saying this isn't a threat, it's just the cold hard reality of the situation. He even twists the knife, mentioning that he might not be able to snag the old man's favorite snacks anymore. Basically, Kang lays it all out. The cost of everything Cho loves has shot up, and his wallet can't keep up. Bruh, this hits Cho right where it hurts. He can't even imagine a world without the endless supply of ramen and goodies from Kang. Cho completely caves to Kang's pressure, promising he'll finally start training him for real. He also swears he'll be more grateful for the snacks, which gets Kang to agree to try his best to keep them coming. It's a win-win, really. With that settled, Cho is ready to get back to training, but he warns Kang not to come crying to him when it gets brutal. Kang couldn't care less. As long as he's getting top-tier training, he's all in. The very next day, Kang gets a message from Sayora, who tells him everything's been handled. Kang is low-key relieved to hear it, but a part of him can't shake the feeling that his past self probably left a whole bunch of other messes for him to clean up down the line. Still, his game plan is simple: help Sayora out, then kick back and try to live a chill life. Just then, a pair of identical twin sisters bustles into his office. Kang is totally caught off guard and asks the girls why they aren't heading to lunch. The twins explain they're on their way, but they need Kang to come with them to the auditorium first. Kang's just confused, wondering why on earth he'd need to go there. That's when the sisters jog his memory about what the vice principal announced during the morning assembly. Turns out Kang is scheduled for an interview on the school's brand new YouTube channel. It all comes flooding back to him. The girls are right, but he'd been so swamped with everything else that it completely slipped his mind. And since Kang is easily the best-looking teacher on staff, he was the obvious choice for the first interview. Kang isn't exactly thrilled about it, but the girls dangle a pretty sweet carrot he might get a bonus out of it, especially if the whole thing goes off without a hitch. Hearing that, Kang has to admit they've got a point. They slide him a piece of paper with all the questions they're planning to ask during the interview. They tell him he should definitely look them over before he goes on camera. Apparently, the school principal is going to personally review the footage before it gets uploaded. So yeah, this whole thing is way more legit than he thought. After giving him the full rundown, the girls get ready to bounce, but stop to tell Kang one last thing. The student council president is also going to be there for the interview. The girls reassure him that they'll mostly stick to the script they gave him, but they warn him that the president is kind of a wild card and might just go off script with some totally random questions. Kang isn't worried about weird questions as long as they don't get personal about his dating life. The twins tell him that's a non-issue. They promise to have his back and tell him to just give them a signal if he feels uncomfortable. If he does, they'll just edit that part of the video out, no problem. Kang is glad they're on his side, because he knows exactly what kind of people student council presidents usually end up being. He's actually kind of curious to see what this one will be like. Meanwhile, the student council president is practically vibrating with excitement to finally meet Kang. Turns out the whole YouTube channel idea came straight from the government. It was their solution to all the crazy rumors flying around about what really happens inside hunter schools. But it wasn't a policy that was rolled out everywhere at once. Instead, the first hunter school was chosen to be the test case for the entire program. Since this whole YouTube channel thing never happened in the original novel, Kang figures it's just another curveball he'll have to deal with. Our boy Kang can't believe his luck is this bad. He's actually the one roped into doing the first interview. A moment later, Kang walks into the room where they're gonna be recording. And inside he finds the technology teacher Min-ji. Turns out Min's the one who's gotta edit this whole thing. And Kang can totally see she's a bundle of nerves. He tells her it's his first interview too, so he's pretty nervous himself. And then he gives her props for knowing how to edit video. But Min hits him with a plot twist. She has no clue what she's doing. The principal just dumped the job on her since she's the tech teacher. Min mentions that since she's not getting paid extra for this, she's just gonna do a rush job and bounce. She's also pretty sure they won't be giving her a bonus, even if the video blows up and gets a ton of views. Just then, the twins tell Kang the camera's ready, and right on cue, the student council president shows up. Kang can't help but stare at the president Kim Si-jin, and at the same time, she's busy checking him out too. She's taking in just how tall and ridiculously handsome Kang is. Kang is just as impressed by Si-jin's vibe. She radiates some serious confidence. He starts wondering why someone as amazing as the student council president never even got a shout-out in the novel. Si-jin walks right up to Kang and with zero chill compliments him on how good-looking he is. She says the video is definitely going to get rave reviews, which is why she's so excited to work with him. Kang is completely blown away by her social skills, which is the total opposite of what the twins told him. In what feels like a flash, they shoot the interview, and it's a huge success. The girls are kinda bummed, wishing they could get more time with Kang, but they know they have to let him go. Kang agrees, saying he's disappointed the interview is over too, but then he drops a little bomb. He reveals that he plans on asking the school for some overtime pay. The girls just look at him completely surprised by his comment. Seeing their reaction, Kang quickly backtracks and says he's just kidding. Min, on the other hand, says she is 100% going to demand overtime for this. Suddenly, Kim Si-jin tells Kang that it would be a major letdown for the viewers if the interview just ended there. And then Si-jin throws everyone a massive curveball. She asks Kang if he's down for a sparring match. The tech teacher immediately tries to shut it down, reminding Si-jin that her request came completely out of left field. Even the twins have to admit that the idea is super random. Kang is in disbelief. They were literally seconds away from wrapping things up before Si-jin came in with this sudden demand. It starts to click for him that this must be the eccentric character the twins were talking about. One of the twins tries to tell Si-jin that they didn't give the teacher a heads up about something like this. But Si-jin argues that since Kang himself said he was disappointed it was over, she just wanted to give the viewers some more content. She apologizes for being so sudden, but admits she's a huge fan of sparring, and since Kang's subject is swordsmanship, it just made sense. Kang can tell that Si-jin isn't making this request to be a pain or anything. She's just genuinely passionate about what she loves, with absolute— Just as the twins are about to pack everything up, Kang announces that he's totally up for a sparring match. The twins remind him that this was never part of the original plan, but Kang just tells them not to worry about it. It's all good. He does have one question though. Are there any swords they can actually use? Kim Si-jin immediately jumps in, saying she brought a pair of steel training swords for them to use. The twins are completely shook and ask her when the heck she even got those. Si-jin just mentions she brought them along on the off chance Kang would say yes to her request. Deep down, Kang knows that he's still a student himself, but at the same time, he's got the baked-in muscle memory to wield a sword like a pro. As they start preparing for the spar, the tech teacher is absolutely fuming that she's going to get home even later than she expected. As they get to the training ground, Kim starts prepping for the fight, but Kang ain't even breaking a sweat. After that throwdown with Jong, he's got a pretty good handle on his own capabilities. On top of that, he's been grinding non-stop with Cho. That old man basically used him as a personal punching bag during their sessions. But at the same time, Kang isn't about to sleep on Kim Si-jin. She is a third year after all. Plus, she's the student council president, so he knows he can't afford to get sloppy. Kang is sizing her up like she's already on the level of a pro hunter. So, Kang tells Kim Si-jin he's feeling generous and offers her the first move. She happily takes him up on that, rocketing toward Kang at an insane speed. Even Kang is low-key impressed by her quickness. She's leagues faster than any of the first-year students. And on top of that, she's rocking a totally unique technique. Kang is caught off guard because she doesn't go for a typical slash, but instead opts for a direct thrust. Kang figures that Kim Si-jin must be seriously confident in her own skills to pull that off. He dodges the attack like it's nothing, and he's even more surprised that Kim doesn't panic like any other student would. Instead, she immediately pivots to an upward slash, but Kang dodges that too. Even so, Kim keeps up the pressure, swinging her sword relentlessly. She's trying to land a single blow, but he just weaves through everything until Kim finally asks him how long he plans on just dodging. Little does she know, Kang basically earned a PhD in evasion during his hellish training with the old man. That old geezer held a serious grudge after Kang threatened his food supply, so he beat the absolute tar out of him. Thanks to all that training, Kang can sidestep everything she's throwing at him and even has time to lecture her mid-fight. He points out that she's way too focused on her attacks, and because of that, she's leaning way too far forward. Kim fires back, arguing that he hasn't seen everything she's got just yet. She unleashes a massive swing at Kang, but he dodges it easily and materializes behind her, telling her she's wide open. It's an opening so big she'd be toast in a real fight. This gives Kang a nasty flashback to how Cho used to ragdoll him like he owed the man money. The more he remembers the absolute beatdown he suffered at the hands of that old man, the more pissed off he gets. He briefly considers getting payback by messing with his ramen stash, but he quickly realizes that would just make Cho go even more berserk. So, instead, Kang points out another flaw, another mistake the student council president is making. He tells her she's going to gas out way too quickly by putting all the force into just her hands and arms. He urges her to start using her entire body to power up her attacks, and the second he says it, Kim's entire stance shifts, which completely floors Kang. He can't believe she instantly put his advice into practice, even readjusting her sword grip on the fly. Kang is absolutely blown away, wondering if this insane talent is what makes her special compared to the other students. So Kang switches his sword to his left hand and tells Kim Si-jin that playtime is officially over. Meanwhile, the tech teacher is still fuming because she's running later than usual. Just as Kang is about to get serious, Kim stops him. Kang is surprised and asks her if something's wrong, but she says no. Then she asks if he minds if she uses a little bit of mana. She promises not to channel the mana into her weapon, but Kang is just impressed that Kim can already use mana at all. Kim explains that students are allowed to join field training at portal sites starting from the end of their second year. Kim mentions that she's only just started learning to use mana. This isn't exactly news to Kang. He's already aware of the curriculum. Before graduation, the students get to take supervised trips to low-level portals. They're usually chaperoned by a teacher, or sometimes a hunter dispatched by the government. Kang is still seriously impressed that she can use mana, even if it's just a little. He figures she must have noticed the huge gap in their speed. That's probably why she asked permission to use mana right as he was about to counterattack. This just piques Kang's curiosity even more. Now he really wants to see just how skilled Kim truly is. Kang gives Kim the green light, telling her she's free to use all the mana she wants. Kim is totally stoked about this because when she was training with Jong, using mana was a big no-no. She sees this sparring match as the perfect chance to finally get a feel for her mana and figure out how to handle it. Without a second's hesitation, Kim blitzes toward Kang, moving way faster than she ever has before. Kang barely manages to parry her attack, but damn, the impact leaves his entire hand feeling numb. And she pulled that off without even tapping into any internal energy. What really blows Kang's mind is that Kim didn't channel mana into her sword. She just used it to crank her physical stats through the roof. The force actually knocks Kang off his spot, and he's low-key impressed that she got this strong from just the basics. Apparently, when you're out there fighting monsters, your body just naturally soaks up mana like a sponge. But there's a catch. The mana doesn't just grow forever because everyone has a hard cap where their body stops taking it in. That limit is pretty much decided by your natural talent level. See, Kang learned from Cho that mana is basically just raw, unrefined internal energy. And because of this, he had already converted every last drop of mana inside him into pure internal energy. So yeah, he can't use mana anymore, but what he has now is way more efficient and hits different. Since he's a teacher with his pride on the line, Kang decides he won't even use his internal energy against Kim. Kang just keeps dodging her onslaught until he finally clocks her rhythm. The hunter style of fighting is just way too direct. This is mostly because they're used to fighting brain-dead monsters that have zero strategy. It's the exact reason low-ranked hunters get absolutely smoked by any monster that actually uses its head. And just as he predicted, Kim Si-jin starts to gas out her strikes, getting weaker with every swing. Kang can now read her next move, a simple diagonal slash, but Kim decides to switch things up at the very last second. She tries to counter with a sick reverse grip and a thrust, and Kang's got to give her props for the impromptu move. But he dodges it like it's nothing and sweeps her legs out from under her, telling her she was way too close to land that thrust anyway. Kim completely loses her balance and eats dirt with absolutely no way to recover. This turn of events leaves the twins and the teacher completely stunned. Her knee turns bright red from the hard landing as Kang places the tip of his blade right at her neck. It was a clear signal for her to officially tap out. Kang can see that Kim is pretty bummed about losing, which just shows how much of a competitor she is. He then tells her that she put up a hell of a fight, proving she's more than worthy of being the student council president. But Kang adds the biggest problem with her skill set is that her techniques are just too repetitive. He admits that her mana gave her a huge boost in strength, but he warns her not to use it as a crutch. He says she's got to start mixing up her sword techniques too. With the lesson over, Kang helps her up, and Kim thanks him for the advice. So, one of the twins points out that the tech teacher is looking seriously ticked off. When she asks him what's wrong, he spills the beans. Their video is about to absolutely break the internet. A week after that video dropped, Kang's life went from 0 to 100 real quick. Next thing he knows, Kang is literally signing autographs for his own students. Kang tries to explain he doesn't even have a signature, but they're all like, just scribble something, anything. Apparently, that little sparring video didn't just get a few views. It went completely viral. Kang has to sign a boatload of these things before he can finally get his students to crack open a book. He's pretty salty that the video blew up, but he isn't seeing a single cent from it. Meanwhile, the school's channel is thriving. It's already racked up over 250,000 subscribers. And get this, the video itself has blasted past 1 million views. It's finally hitting Kang just how insane the internet can be. Everyone who's seen the video is eating it up, especially the insane fight between Kang and Kim. Some people were saying it looked less like a spar and more like a throwdown between two S-class hunters. What really had people losing their minds was that Kang didn't use a single drop of mana and still went toe-to-toe with Kim. Turns out Kim Seo-jin is a massive deal. She's a 2-time martial arts champion. Everyone was already saying she was a shoo-in for an A-rank spot the moment she graduated. Kang, on the other hand, is a total ghost who just materialized out of thin air. This whole mystery man thing immediately got the viewers hyped and super curious. A flood of questions popped up online like, who is this guy? And where did he even come from? Kang is stunned seeing how the web is freaking out over him. Since Kim Seo-jin is such a big shot, Kang can't figure out why he never once saw her name pop up in the novel. Even after the main character bounced from the hunter school, there was no mention of her at all. Kang is totally lost in his own head about it. That's when Park shows up ready to give him a hard time. He strolls up calling him a YouTube star and tells him to drop the whole shy act because bruh, he's famous now. Park hands him a drink, and Kang admits that while he kinda liked the attention at first, it's getting to be a bit much. But Park thinks Kang is way too humble and needs to start using this newfound fame to his advantage. Kang, however, couldn't care less about any of that. He just wants to live a quiet, normal life. Right then, Park drops a bomb the vice principal is looking for Kang. Kang is shook and immediately asks why the VP would want to see him. But Park just shrugs, saying he has no idea, and then jokes that maybe the VP wants to give him a fat bonus. The second Kang hears the word bonus, his whole mood changes and he's suddenly eager to meet the guy. He shoots up from his chair, and Park reminds him that if he gets that cash, he's totally treating them all to a nice meal. You know, if it turns out he actually gets that bonus. On his way over, Kang starts overthinking why he'd be summoned to the vice principal's office, and in private no less. He thinks it's super weird, since meetings like this almost always happen out in the open. The main reason he's low-key freaking out about this meeting is because of who the vice principal actually is. The dude is one of the absolute monsters at the first hunter school, and he's one of only 10 S-rank hunters in the entire country. His name Kim Man-dong. Kang walks into the office to find Kim Man-dong sitting there like a king on his throne as he welcomes him in. Kang is completely floored by the guy's insane presence and quickly bows his head in greeting. Kim asks if he wants some tea, but Kang politely declines, telling the VP he needs to get to his next class soon. The vice principal nods, saying he'll keep things brief. He gestures toward a huge sack on the floor and tells Kang that every single thing inside it is for him. Kang is totally confused until he peeks inside the sack and sees a massive pile of letters. All Kang can do is let out a super awkward, nervous laugh. He asks Kim if all the letters are from his fans, but Kim, not wanting to spoil the surprise, just tells him to go ahead and open one. You know, just to see what all the fuss is about. Turns out a ton of people were seriously impressed by his throwdown with Kim Seo-jin. And we're not just talking about other schools. We're talking full-blown pro hunters from the top guilds. That video was just supposed to be a school promo, but Kong's performance somehow made it go viral. Kong cracks open one of the letters, and it's a straight-up duel challenge from the Huarong Guild. They basically say they were blown away by his skills against the president and want him to name a time and place for a fight. So yeah, a duel is on the table. It's one of those letters that's dripping with respect and honor, but it's also got a challenge tacked right onto it. The vice principal breaks it down for him. For these guilds, dueling him is way better for publicity than dropping a ton of cash on some boring ad. Kang is absolutely floored by all this. He didn't see any of it coming. Then the vice principal drops the bomb that there are 932 letters in the bag, and pretty much every single one is a challenge. The sheer number of challenge letters has Kong completely shook. He asks Kim if he did something wrong, but Kim just tells him he didn't do anything. Everyone's just trying to ride his hype train now. He also mentions that Kong, coming from a regular high school, not some elite academy, just adds to the mystique. Kang is stunned and can't figure out how they found out he went to a normal school. The vice principal lays it out for him. A lot of people at the school aren't his biggest fans, and one of them, it most likely leaked his personal info to the public. But the real dumpster fire Kim's dealing with is the comment section of that duel video. Apparently, people are flaming the student council president, accusing her of going easy on Kang. They've been dragging her name through the mud non-stop. When Kang hears this, it hits different. He gets what Kim Sejin is going through because he got roasted 24/7 in his past life. All because people thought his web novels were absolute trash. Kang immediately starts blaming himself, thinking none of this mess would have happened if he'd just kept the interview low-key. The vice principal then reveals they're shutting the channel down because it was meant to be a positive thing. But now, it's causing way more drama than it's worth. Kim then asks Kang what his next move is, and Kang says he's going to clear up all the doubt. The vice principal asks him how he's going to pull that off, and Kang lays out his master plan. He's going to pick a challenge letter from one of the haters. His goal is to find the most popular troll in the bunch and beat them into the ground. Kim is surprised Kang is so confident about this and has to remind him that some of the people challenging him are actual A-rank hunters. Instead of backing down, Kong says he'd love the chance to take on an A-ranker all by himself. The vice principal immediately gets it. Kong wants to beat down the strongest guy, so the rest of the wannabes will get scared and back off. Kong confirms that's exactly the plan, since there's no way he can fight every single person who challenged him. The vice principal is totally on board with this idea, but then he asks Kong if he'd be up for a match with him. The moment Kang hears this, pure fear takes over. He's convinced the old man has finally lost his mind. He's so shocked that he has to ask him to repeat it just to be sure. Just in case his ears were failing him. But Kim says the exact same thing again. Kang can't wrap his head around the fact that Kim, an S-rank hunter, is seriously trying to fight him. A measly B-rank hunter. Cold sweat starts dripping down his face as the reality of the situation sinks in. He concludes the vice principal has gone completely insane, but then the VP reveals he was watching when Kang fought Zhong, and he honestly thought Kang was about to lose that fight. But after it was all over, the vice principal could tell that Kong was actually holding back a ton of power. Seeing how confident Kang is, Kim actually believes he might have what it takes to challenge S-rank hunters. Kang can't even process what he's hearing. Is the vice principal seriously comparing A ranks to S ranks? What's wild is that Kang knows the VP gets how absolutely broken S ranks are, but he's pushing this crazy idea anyway. Don't get him wrong, A ranks are legit, but Kang doesn't even see Zhong as a proper A rank since he hasn't even passed the official exam. Kang has to admit he's gotten way stronger since his showdown with Zhong, and it's all thanks to his master's training. Because of that intense training, Kang feels pretty confident he could take on most A ranks without breaking a sweat. S ranks, though, bruh, that's a whole different ballgame. There are only 10 of them in the entire country, and maybe 100 scattered across the whole world. People say S-rank mages are basically walking nukes, and the physical fighters are considered one-man armies. Kim Mandong is at the top of that food chain, an absolute monster who is no joke. Kang even remembers a part in the original novel where the protagonist Seong got cocky and tried to challenge Kim Mandong. Seong thought he was all that only for the vice principal to completely wipe the floor with him, but Kang's situation hits different. He's getting direct training from a master, not just popping mana pills like they're candy. It felt good when his master told him he was already way ahead of anyone who just chugs potions for power. Still, even with all that Kang knows deep down, he doesn't stand a ghost of a chance against a real S-rank hunter. Kang is completely lost in his own head until Kim's voice snaps him back to reality. Kim tries to sell him on the idea, saying a little sparring match will be the perfect way to shut everyone up. It's way better than stressing over every A rank who wants a piece of him. Kim sweetens the deal, saying he'll make it an official event, which should stop the endless stream of challenges coming in. But he lays it out cold if Kang messes this up and loses. He's completely on his own from now on. On top of that, Kim isn't even looking for a win. He's setting the rules to be just one single hit. All Kang has to do is successfully land one solid strike on Kim Mondong, and he wins the whole thing. Even with that massive handicap, Kang is shook. This is the guy whose body can shrug off an aura blade like it's a gentle breeze. Seeing his hesitation, Kim decides to poke him a little, calling him timid for chickening out. Then Kim goes for the knockout blow offering to get Kang exempted from the new teacher training program. All he has to do is land that one hit, and he's free from the upcoming breaks activities. So, this teacher training is supposed to be some kind of bonding retreat, but for an outsider like Kang, a guy who came from a totally normal school, it sounds like his own personal version of hell. Then Kim drops the final carrot. Kang would still get his full salary during the break, and hearing this absolutely short-circuits his brain. He's trying to wrap his head around getting a 3-week paid vacation just for landing a single punch. Kang's a little skeptical, asking if Kim really has the authority to pull him from a program run by the Hunter Management Agency. Kim just smirks, letting him in on a little secret about a special exemption program they run every semester. It's a system where they handpick 2 teachers who've shown outstanding performance. And these so-called outstanding teachers get a free pass to skip the entire training. Kim asks if he's interested, but Kang is already daydreaming about his vacation. The VP does warn him, though, to make sure the match doesn't fall on any politically messy dates. Since the presidential election is the following week, Kim Mandong suggests setting the fight for 1 month from now. The date lands on the day right before the school break, and Kim jokingly tells Kang not to get cold feet and run away. Once they lock in the date, Kang finally gets out of the office, the reality sinking in that he has exactly 1 month. A month to cook up a strategy to somehow land a clean hit on the vice principal. He knows the offer is too good to pass up, but it also feels like he just signed his own death warrant. Given that this world is based on a Murim novel, the vice principal is on a whole other transcendent level. Kim is basically a walking fortress, while Kang just recently clawed his way up to what you'd call the peak level. With a power gap that massive, Kang feels like hitting Kim is a completely impossible task. Kang's entire life goal is just to chill and live in peace. But he also knows he can't just sit back and let his students get disrespected like this. And just then a notification pops up on his screen. It tells him he's just unlocked a brand new side story, The Vice Principal's Slayer. The second Kang lays eyes on this, a light bulb flicks on in his head. He realizes that landing that one crucial hit might not be There's a catch, though. Only one person on Earth can teach him the secret sauce, and that's his master Cho. Kang immediately bolts over to tell the old man his plan, but he's completely floored by the response. Cho flat out tells him that what he's planning is pretty much impossible. Kang tries to argue, but the old master insists that some mountains just aren't meant to be climbed. He explains to Kang that to even put a scratch on someone of that caliber, you'd need to manifest an aura blade. We're talking about a dude who has already reached the transcendent level, and based on what Cho's heard, Kim Mandong is already playing in that league. The old man then says that Kang would be lucky to land a single hit, and that's only if he pulls out every single dirty trick in the book. The moment Kang hears the word tricks, his ears perk right up. He immediately asks his master to elaborate. Cho explains he's talking about juicing up with things like ginseng elixirs. He figures that with a massive boost, Kang might be able to pull off an aura blade. The price for this power-up, chugging down 3 100-year-old ginseng roots. Kang doesn't even hesitate telling his master he's all in, which earns him another smack to the back of the head. Cho makes it crystal clear he might get one single hit, but that's it. There won't be a second chance. A grin spreads across Kang's face as he tells the old man that one hit is all he's gonna need. He turns to bounce, and Cho asks where the hell he's going. Kang coolly replies that he's off to find those ginseng roots. He knows finding them will be tough, but our boy also knows that money makes the world go round. And since the presidential election is happening next week, Kang has a big brain play in mind. He's about to make a move to get the ginseng he desperately needs. Meanwhile, Seora is at home wondering why Kang has been ghosting her since he left Antos. Right on cue, her phone rings. Seora excitedly picks up, fully expecting him to ask her out, but Kang hits her with something completely out of left field. He asks her if she can spot him 100 million won. The second Seora hears this, she just hangs up the phone. But she doesn't stop there. She powers her phone completely off for good measure. Absolutely zero chill. Kang knows that getting his hands on a 10,000-year-old ginseng is a fantasy, but he figures he can still get some less ancient ones just like Xiong did. The only issue is that the price tag is insane. Apparently, ginsengs that aren't even 100 years old can cost tens of millions. The ones that are over a century old, they easily soar past the 100 million won mark. Since Xiong was a spoiled rich kid, he could afford to buy these things up and pop them like they were candy. But even after juicing up on all that premium ginseng, he still got his butt handed to him by the vice principal. Cho explained that Xiong lost because he was just mindlessly consuming the ginseng without properly absorbing its energy. Kang, on the other hand, is confident that his master can teach him how to wring out every last drop of power. That is if he can even afford to buy one. The problem is he can't just drain his entire net worth for a single power-up. As he was trying to figure out a plan, he suddenly remembered something the vice principal told him about the upcoming presidential election. It's a no-brainer that the election is going to make the stock market go absolutely bananas. Kang has been so caught up in his hunter life that he completely forgot about playing the market. He's been relying so much on his future knowledge from the novel that he overlooked this golden opportunity. Kang decides to bet it all on this. His first stop is the bank to take out a massive loan. In his past life as a broke third-rate writer, getting a bank loan was a complete joke. But things are different now. He's a teacher at a top-tier hunter school, and that title carries some serious weight. Pulling some strings to get a massive bank loan is no biggie for him. 'Cause my man already knows the future, specifically who's gonna crush it in the upcoming presidential election. So he goes all in, betting every single borrowed penny on the surefire winner. A few days later, a pizza guy rocks up. He arrives at the classroom door, barely visible under a mountain of 42 pizza boxes. The pizza dude tells Kong they're super grateful for his businessman. So grateful, in fact, that all the drinks are on the house. His students are just staring completely speechless. I mean, who wouldn't be when they see a literal fortress of pizza stacked up at the entrance? They're all giving each other confused looks until Kong just casually tells them to grab a box and dig in. Apparently, Kong's bet paid off like big time, and his net worth just shot past 1 billion won. The students are going absolutely nuts over the free pizza, all while Kong is just leaning back at the front of the class, rocking a satisfied smirk. Kong's little gamble yielded a 500% return. He's so hyped that all his inside knowledge is finally paying dividends. Kong is loving the vibe, seeing his students all smiles while chowing down, and he jokingly warns them not to choke. He's feeling so generous, he even offers to buy them all digestive medicine if they go too hard. The students ask him what the big occasion is, and he just plays it cool, saying he got a little lucky with some investments. Then he adds, "Oh, and there's one more thing." He's got some major news to share with them. Kong drops the bomb that he's going to be having a sparring match against the vice principal the day before the closing ceremony. The second those words leave his mouth, you can hear the entire class collectively choke on their pizza. The students are genuinely worried that Kong is about to get himself unalived because, let's be real, the vice principal is basically a god-tier character. Kong is straight up about it, admitting he doesn't stand a chance against the vice principal, which is exactly why he negotiated a handicap. Kang explains to the class that the VP promised to give him the W if he can just land one single clean hit. Even hearing that the students still think their teacher has zero chance since the vice principal is built different, like an absolute unit. They've pretty much just accepted that their teacher is about to get completely folded. Kang just tells his students to enjoy the pizza, because it might be the last meal he ever buys for them. See, Kang knows that with the elections done, the VP is probably about to announce their little sparring match any day now. So, Kang is basically leaking the news to his students to get a head start and make sure the vice principal can't weasel his way out of that one-hit-to-win rule they agreed on. Since everything's gone according to his plan so far, Kong figures the next thing on his to-do list is a good old-fashioned training montage. So Kong makes his way out to some remote snowy plains. He tells his master he's got everything he requested for the training, which turns out to be 3 boxes of perilla seed ramen. On top of that, he brought 5 boxes of onions, 2 boxes of chocolate bars, and 4 cases of cola. The dude pretty much bought out the entire instant food aisle. Chos, his master, is absolutely thrilled to see Kong went all out just to get him hyped up. He then asks if Kong also remembered to bring the roots, and of course he did. Kang managed to get his hands on 3 of them. We're talking 100-year-old ginseng roots, which he carefully stashed in a box right after buying them. Even after that insane shopping spree, Kang's still sitting on over 1 billion won in his bank account. Cho is low-key shocked that Kang was actually able to find legit ginseng. Cho then flexes a little, saying he once ate a 300-year-old root when he was younger, and looking at the ones Kang brought, he can tell without a doubt that the one he had was on a whole other level. Still, Cho confirms the roots are the real deal, and Kang breathes a huge sigh of relief. Then Cho tells Kang it's time to eat the ginseng. He needs to get his internal energy circulating, and fast. He tells Kang not to sweat it, promising to support him from behind. Kang does exactly as he's told, chowing down on the roots before sitting down to meditate. Cho then gets behind him, placing his palms on Kang's back to help channel his energy. Kang immediately feels this insane heat surging through his body. And in that moment, he finally gets why a single root costs 100 million won. Cho just tells Kang to calm down and accept it. He needs to take in all the crazy energy being pumped directly into his body. Joe tells him it won't be a big deal since they both practice the exact same technique, but Kang's brain just short-circuits hearing that. 'Cause, from his point of view, he's submerged in a freaking tsunami of raw power. Then Joe hits him with a really weird question. He points out that the ginseng Kang brought is the real deal, which means it must have cost a fortune. So since Kang could get his hands on such high-end materials, Cho figures he must be pretty loaded, and Kang admits it, yeah, he managed to score a good chunk of change. So with that in mind, Cho asks why he doesn't just quit the whole teaching gig and call off the sparring match. Why not just kick back and live a peaceful life? Joe wants to know why Kang is stressing himself out so much when he could easily just walk away from it all. Kang then spills the beans, explaining that he's trying to help out a friend who got tangled up with some seriously shady people. Plus, he's got to get stronger to fix the student council president's reputation, which got absolutely trashed all over campus. And it was all his fault. Kang admits that his life would be a total cakewalk if he just let everything slide. But he says he just couldn't live with himself if he did that. Hearing this, Joe is low-key impressed, and he's also proud that he had Kang pegged correctly from the start. Kang is completely lost when his master says this and asks him what he's talking about. Joe just brushes it off, saying he doesn't need to know. A few moments later, they wrap up the energy absorption session, and Joe says he was going to call it a day, but he's decided to give Kang a little gift. He gives him a heads up that what he's about to do might hurt like hell, and that he needs to just grit his teeth and endure it. Kang immediately gets worried when his master talks about enduring something, and he's still asking what he means, when a massive surge of energy blasts out from his master's palms and slams right into him. Kang lets out a blood-curdling scream. It literally feels like he just got struck by lightning. The pain is so off the charts that he starts wondering if he somehow managed to tick the old man off. He forces himself to ask the old geezer what in the world he's doing to him, but the old man just tells him to shut his trap. He tells him to stop yapping and just focus on what's happening, urging him to take the pain just like he told him. Kang is getting hit with so much agony that he can't even open his mouth to beg the old man to stop. Whatever the hell this is he's doing to him. He can feel Cho's energy flooding his system, but it's forging a completely different meridian pathway, not his original one. Kang can sense a wall deep inside him, and it's clear that Cho is trying to smash right through it. Kang is completely baffled, wondering why Cho is trying to carve out a brand new energy channel in his body. Cho keeps pushing and pushing, until Kang hears a loud crack from deep within himself. Cho scolds him, saying his body is clogged with a ton of nasty, impure energy. But on the other hand, he's glad Kang was tough enough to endure the pain and finally achieve a breakthrough. Kang, meanwhile, is just beyond relieved that it's over because he never ever wants to experience that level of soul-crushing pain ever again. Kang barely manages to ask Cho if it's finally actually over. But Joe suddenly curses, saying he accidentally opened a path in a place he wasn't supposed to. Before Kang can even process that, Joe slaps his palms on his back again and starts pumping him full of internal energy once more. Kang lets out one final epic scream before his world just goes completely black. When he comes to, he immediately screams out in pain again, yelling that he's going to sue the old man into the ground. And get this, while Kang was knocked out cold, Cho was just chilling and eating some ramen. Kang is absolutely losing it, screaming at the old geezer and demanding to know what the hell he did to his biddy. He wants an explanation because all he got before was endure the pain, but the old man just yells right back at him, calling him a completely ungrateful fool for not appreciating the insane favor he just did for him. The old man reveals that it was basically hell for him too, and all Kang does when he wakes up is start talking trash. Cho swings on Kang, but in a flash our boy dodges the attack completely. A second later it hits Kang. There's no way he should have been able to move that fast, but he totally did. Joe just smirks proud that all his hard work actually paid off. Kang, now super curious about his new limits, tells his master to hit him again. Cho can't believe his ears. This kid thinks he can just leapfrog into a whole new power level he hasn't even sniffed before, and all because he chowed down on some funky wild roots. So, Joe decides it's time for a reality check, kicking him around like a soccer ball and giving him absolutely zero chance to dodge anything. When Joe finally chills out and gets back to his ramen, Kang asks him what the hell he did to power him up. The old man reveals that the roots had some leftover medicinal juice, and he wasn't about to let that go to waste. That's why he juiced him up with a bit of his own internal energy to blast open his meridians. Kang is shook, because he's definitely heard about Ren and Du meridians. Apparently before this, his energy was stuck on a one-way street, but the master's boost changed everything. Now, thanks to his master's help, he can get that energy flowing through his entire system. Kang is absolutely stoked to have his meridians unlocked. But here's the thing, in all the novels he's read, people who do this become unbelievably cracked. This gets Kang's mind racing, so he asks Cho if he's basically reached the level of a god-tier being now. The moment he says it, Cho absolutely loses it, laughing his head off. He tells Kang he's barely scraped into the first-rate tier of martial arts, yet he's trying to skip past the peak level entirely, and jump straight into the realm of transcendent masters. Kang tries to argue that he went through some serious pain, but that just earns him another bonk on the head. The old man fires back, saying he was the one doing all the work, not him. The old man chews him out for trying to cheat the system and skip levels, just because he ate some magic plants. Kang snaps back that the old man was the one who said the effects were insane. Joe admits the medicinal boost was solid, which is why he managed to barely crack open those pathways. But if Kang seriously wants to jump 2 whole tiers, he'll need something legendary like a 10,000-year-old snow ginseng or the literal heart of an emoji. Kang is floored hearing this, since the stuff the old man just listed is basically impossible to find. Cho tells him to get over it and be happy he can even aim for the peak level. Kang then asks if he's strong enough to use the aura blade now, and the old geezer just says, "That's on you, kid." The old man confirms the win condition for the duel, just land a single hit. Kang says yeah, he's dead set on making it happen. That's the whole reason he went through hell to get those roots. But Cho thinks it should be a walk in the park, since Kang is the only real martial artist left on the planet. Kang begs him not to use that logic because S-rank hunters are no joke, and you can't mess with them. Cho starts going on about how all the elders back in his day were transcendent-level monsters, making it a huge mountain to climb. Kang cuts his master's boring back-in-my-day speech short, and tells him they need to get to training since one hit is all he needs. But Cho goes off on him for settling for the absolute bare minimum. Joe tells him that accepting a deal to land just one measly hit is a huge sign of disrespect to his teachings. He straight up tells Kang that if he were in his shoes, he would have been beyond pissed. It finally clicks for Kang and he starts getting seriously heated. He realizes the vice principal was the one who made that pathetic offer, and he just let himself get boxed in by that low-ball standard. Kang is finally fired up, telling the old man he's not just going to hit the vice principal, once he's going to hit him at least 5 times for looking down on him. But even hearing 5 hits, Cho is still not impressed in the slightest. He gives Kang a 50% of failing grade. Then he tells him to follow him because he's going to drag him kicking and screaming to a perfect score. Kang asks why he didn't just tell him about this sooner, and the old man says he kept his mouth shut. Because the techniques he's thinking of weren't his own martial arts. That answer just confuses Kang, so the old man explains that back in his younger days, he met a ton of different people while roaming the world. And among those absolute legends he met, turns out Cho only had 2 people he'd actually call his close friends, and he tells Kang that the technique he's about to drop was actually used by one of them. Kang's totally thrown by this and asks if friends just started swapping secret martial arts techniques with each other. Cho immediately shuts that idea down, saying, "There's no way in hell you learn a martial artist's moves unless you're officially their disciple." The only reason Cho even knows this technique is because he fought his friends so many times, he basically reverse engineered it. Cho reveals that back in the Murim, stealing someone's martial arts was a major sin. But since Kang's the only real martial artist left on the planet, those old school rules don't really matter anymore. So, Kang asks if this friend was as cracked as Cho. The old man admits his friend wasn't quite on his level, but he was a genuinely decent dude. Cho even mentions that back in his prime, his friend's techniques could actually give him some serious trouble. And this was when Cho was a whole level above him. Hearing that just gets Kang even more hyped. Cho's also super willing to teach him, because he really wants Kang to absolutely shatter the vice principal's ego into a million pieces. A week rolls by, and Seora calls Kang in for a meeting. She gets him up to speed on the drug situation within their organization. It seems like some of their drug warehouses in China and Japan just got raided. After dropping that bomb, she asks him if the rumor is true that he's planning to spar with the vice principal. Kang's surprised that this gossip has already made its way to the teachers. He just assumes it's typical office chatter, but Seora lets him know he's dead wrong. Turns out the vice principal himself posted the news in the school's official group chat. Apparently, he announced to all the teachers that the main condition for being chosen as teacher of the semester is to have a sparring match against him. He tells anyone who's game to go ahead and file an application. But then he drops the fact that Kang is already on the list. Kang is absolutely floored when he sees the post and figures the old man did it because he was worried Kang might try to back out. He was locking him into the fight no cap. Seora asks him why on earth he'd stir the pot when the vibe at school is already so bad, but Kang is totally lost by what she's saying. Seora explains that one of the students in her class showed up with his face all jacked up. The thing is, the kid refused to snitch on who beat him up. Kang asks Seora if she ever figured out who did it, and she confirmed she did. She reveals it was the absolute worst bully in the middle school division, a kid named Lee Ji-seong. The instant she says that name, Kang does a literal spit take, spraying his drink all over Seora. He cannot believe it. My guy just heard the protagonist's name completely out of nowhere. Seora is now drenched in coffee and is forced to ask Kang if he's had a run-in with Seong before, which would explain his insane reaction. Kang lies his butt off, saying he just choked on his drink. He then quickly pivots, asking Seora what ended up happening with Seong. Seora lays it all out. Seong's dad is the CEO of Hwasan Electronics, and his grandpa is the chairman of the entire Hwasan group. She's pretty sure his super-rich family pulled some strings to make the whole mess disappear, because the kid who got beaten up ended up being framed as the bad guy. Seora is sick and tired of how Seong acts in class, and says she would absolutely do something about him if she had the power. Kang feels her pain because Seong, the future hero of the story, is currently in his full-blown delinquent era. Kang tries to calm the situation down, urging Seora to just relax and telling her that Seong would probably snap out of it sometime in the future. But Seora isn't buying it. She doesn't think people can change. Kang holds his ground, insisting people can change, and tells her to be nice to Seong because she has no idea what the future might hold for him. Seora just laughs at this and tells Kang he'll soon know the exact pain she's going through once that kid graduates and moves up to the high school division, landing squarely in Kang's class. Stop model. Kang's pretty sure his student roster is closed for good. After all, he's just an NPC in this whole story. But hearing Seong's name again is low-key a relief because it makes this whole world feel less like a script and more real. Seora chimes in that she's literally counting the seconds till the semester ends so she can finally get Seong's face out of her sight. Changing the subject, Sora asks Kang if he's got anything planned for the upcoming break. Kang lets her know there's some mandatory teacher training coming up, but honestly, he's not really feeling the idea of going. Sora's worried about him, but Kang hints that he might just dodge that bullet if he can snag the Outstanding Teacher award. The second Seora hears this, she's convinced Kang has completely lost the plot. The man is seriously banking on this duel to become the top teacher. Seora has to give him a reality check, reminding him that Kim is literally one of Korea's top 10 hunters, and there's no way in hell. She tells him he won't even land a single hit. Her words definitely sting, but Seora isn't backing down. She says she's just keeping it 100 with him. Kang just takes a long sip from his drink. He tells Seora to stop putting that bad juju on a match that hasn't even happened yet. Seora leans in close, staring right into his eyes, and decides that Kang is a completely different person now. The old Kang she knew would never have willingly walked into the lion's den like this. Not even 5 minutes go by, and Sora is already flipping her script, saying maybe people really do change. She has no idea. The Kong she's looking at now is a whole different beast from the guy she used to know. Before they know it, D-Day has arrived. The arena is packed to the gills, with spectators just dying to see Kang get absolutely wrecked. They're all assuming he got a big head after managing to take down Zhong. Everyone's just salty that a dude who didn't even go to a fancy hunter academy is now aiming for the outstanding teacher spot. Some think Kang must have an ace up his sleeve, but others are convinced it won't mean squat against the vice principal. While all his haters are busy talking trash behind his back, Kang hears every single word. Apparently, his senses got a major upgrade after training with the old master. Jin Su, one of his students who's usually a massive pain in the neck, is actually giving him a shoulder massage. After a bit, Kang tells him that's enough, but Jin Su insists he can keep going. Kang sees right through him. Jin Su is just trying to butter him up for a ringside seat to the action. Kang knows this duel was only supposed to be for teachers. The info was posted on their private faculty platform, but it looks like some haters leaked the time and place so everyone could show up and watch Kang crash and burn in front of the whole school. So, Kang asks Jin Su if the rumors about him are really that bad. And Jin Su doesn't sugarcoat it, he says yeah. He explains most teachers are running with the narrative that Kang is just desperate to get his hands on the Outstanding Teacher Award. His students, however, know that's total BS because they actually know what kind of guy Kang is. In the crowd, Kang still has a few people in his corner, including Park and the tech teacher, who want to see him win. His entire class is there to cheer him on, and Kang can't help but feel a little better having some support no matter how small. Just then, the vice principal makes his grand entrance into the arena. His oppressive aura alone is enough to announce his arrival, and Kang just can't stand the guy's smug attitude. Kim then has the nerve to say he wasn't expecting such a big turnout, as if he wasn't the one who advertised it to the whole damn city. Kim asks Kang if he's ready, and our boy simply replies that he's done his best. Kang is holding a sword, but it's still wrapped up in a cloth. Kim gives him some friendly advice, telling Kang to come at him with everything he's got if he wants to avoid complete humiliation. To really make it juicy, Kim tells Kang he can have the first move. Kang was totally cool with the man offering the first move, because honestly he was already expecting it. It's kind of like an unwritten rule for higher ranks to give the first swing to the underdog, but it isn't actually an official policy. This means Kim really didn't have to do it, but you can bet Kang was hyped that he did, because now he's got a golden opportunity to land the first hit. The referee steps onto the stage telling them he's just there to go over the rules one last time, looking right at Kim. He reminds him that for Kang to snag the W, all he has to do is land a single hit. He then asks if they're both cool with the conditions, and they both give the nod. Kang then tells the ref he should probably dip out of the ring because things are about to get a little wild, but the referee totally takes it as a diss. I mean, the guy's an A-rank hunter after all, but the vice principal chimes in telling the ref to just do what Kang suggested. The ref has no choice but to listen, and the second he shouts for the duel to start, he practically vanishes from the ring. Turns out that sword Kang is holding was a gift from his master Cho. It was a blade that Cho had gotten from one of his so-called friends. He lets Kang know that it's a pretty solid weapon, not just some piece of junk. Kang realizes his only real shot at beating a monster like Kim is riding on this first move he was given. Kang whips out the blade and immediately starts pumping it full of mana. The twins are absolutely floored to see Kang using an aura blade, since that's a technique usually reserved for A-rankers and above. While the students are impressed by what he just pulled off, the teachers are a whole different story. Even Kim isn't fazed, asking Kang if the aura blade is all he's got. Kang just smirks and unleashes an even bigger wave of aura from his body. The energy completely floods the area where he's standing. This has the teachers shook, because Kang is basically tapping into a skill that's supposed to be exclusive to S ranks. Even Kim is blown away, but he quickly figures out that Kang hasn't fully mastered the aura blade yet. He can tell because it's taking our boy a hot minute to get the technique fully formed. Kim, with zero chill, just tells Kang he's free to attack whenever he's ready. Kang actually apologizes for making him wait, then raises his sword to pool even more energy. Turns out the technique he's using is the exact same one Cho learned from that friend of his. It's the Heaven Demon sword art, and Kang's entire body is now swirling with a crazy amount of aura. It leaves everyone watching completely stunned. Before he lets the attack fly, he gives the vice principal a quick heads up. The man braces himself for Kang's attack, and the moment it's unleashed, Kim actually starts getting pushed backward. Apparently, this OP technique was created by a legendary grand demon, the Heaven Demon, and this ridiculously powerful dude is one of Cho's friends. Kang was absolutely shocked when his master first told him about this. That's because the Heaven Demon is a massive celebrity in martial arts novels. Anybody who reads them would know exactly who the Heaven Demon is. He was the leader of the infamous demon sect. It was also known as the Heaven Demon Divine Sect. This guy was one of those terrifying powerhouses who acted as a bridge between the forces of justice and evil. When Kang wrote his own novel in his past life, the Heaven Demon was a super popular arc. Nowadays, though, The heaven demon gets isekai'd to fantasy worlds to kill dragons, or sometimes he gets reincarnated into the modern world. And usually he ends up becoming some kind of gang boss. Even people who haven't read the novels have at least heard the name. Cho admits the heaven demon was a huge deal in the martial world, but he's quick to add that he never lost to him. Not even one time. So Kang then asked his master who the second friend was, since he mentioned he had two of them. Cho says his other buddy was a guy named Sam Bong with the last name Zhong. He goes on about how the guy was always grumbling about Taiji and other Taoist stuff, but Cho just teases him. He even calls the dude a horseface, who apparently just wanted to get wasted all the time, also founded his own sect. When Kang hears this, my guy is absolutely floored. Turns out Zhang Sanbong was the legendary founder of the Wudong sect, a legit grandmaster. By channeling aura directly into a blade, you can unleash a seriously destructive technique. So, Kang whips out the Meteor Annihilation Demon Steel technique, combining it with the move he used before. Everyone watching is completely stunned, and the teachers responsible for putting up the barrier around the ring are scrambling big time. They were not expecting this level of raw power from Kang. They're in disbelief that two of the three protective layers have already been shattered. That's when it hits them, they have been seriously underestimating Kang. Even the ref gets a cold sweat realizing he would have been sent straight to the Shadow Realm if he'd been standing in that arena. They all agree his rank is total BS because there's no way a B-rank hunter could pull off what he just did. After Kang lets loose, he's gasping for air like he just ran a marathon. He knows he just burned through every last drop of his aura. There's zero chance in hell he can pull off that move a second time. Still, he left a massive wave of destruction in his wake. With that much damage, he figures monsters would have been dropping, like flies. But he knows the vice principal is a whole different kind of beast. As the smoke and dust finally start to settle, the vice principal's figure slowly comes into view. His body is covered in sword cuts, and Kong asks him straight up if that counted as a valid hit. This puts the VP in a real tight spot since he promised Kang just one hit, and well, it looks like he landed it. The VP is low-key shook. He's actually bleeding something that hasn't happened to him in years. The vice principal has to admit Kang is way stronger than he thought, because he never imagined that the kid could handle a sword with that level of skill. Kang's pretty stoked that nobody recognizes the technique since old-school martial arts are basically extinct. So, Kim suggests they have a proper match now that the one-hit deal is over, but Kang immediately shuts that down. He reminds Kim that a promise is a promise, one hit and he delivered. But the VP starts to argue, so Kang has to spell it out for him again, that he was the one who agreed to the terms in the first place. See, Kang knows he's running on fumes and doesn't have the juice for a longer fight. With that one crazy attack, he managed to punch at least 10 holes into Kim's body, which was exactly his goal. Kim finally admits, yeah, he promised Kang would win if he landed a solid hit on him. But then he lets Kang know that it hasn't really counted yet. Kang claps back, reminding the old man that he was the one who offered the first move. Kang never even asked for it. That's when Kim decides to play dirty, pulling the pride card and reminding Kang that all the students are watching the fight. He says it would look bad to just back down now, especially since the crowd is already hyped and cheering for him. Kang lets out a frustrated sigh since he knows he's completely outmatched by Kim. But after that display, he's pretty sure no one's going to call him a fraud anymore, especially since the vice principal himself admitted it was a valid hit. Kang just pushes to wrap this thing up. But that's when the vice principal pulls a fast one using a loophole. He's the judge who decides what counts as a valid hit, or not. Kim basically tells Kang that even though he respects his power, he's got a reputation to protect. He tells Kang that sure, the duel might be over, but now he wants a real fight just for the fun of it. And right then, Kim unleashes this insane golden aura, and all the injuries on his body just vanish. Kang is floored watching this happen. It turns out the vice principal just used the super regeneration technique, a skill that's considered totally overpowered. Kang can't believe it. Kim Mandong is seriously about to use his S-rank powers to completely demolish him. Kang can feel the vibe from the crowd shift. They are not happy with what's going down. He asks Kim if he really wants to keep going, but Kim Mandong says he couldn't care less. All he's interested in is Kang's true power. And Kang realizes he's backed into a corner. He has to accept or everyone watching will just think he's a coward. If he doesn't back down now, Kang can feel his entire body shaking, but that pure energy coursing through him is doing its job. He's starting to recover, but he knows deep down he doesn't have the juice to pull off another aura, blade attack. Even so, Kang raises his sword, giving the vice principal a look that says, "Bring it on." Kim takes just one step forward and the entire arena completely shatters. Seeing this raw power, Kang's jaw just drops in pure shock and a little bit of terror. Suddenly, Kim vanishes, and before Kang can even process it, the man is already behind him. The next thing he feels is a monstrous punch slamming into his face. It's lights out, and when he finally comes to, he's lying in the nurse's office. Kang is seriously just grateful he's not dead. He honestly thought he'd woken up in the afterlife. He starts replaying what the hell just happened against the vice principal, remembering how the guy just popped up in his blind spot. As the punch flew towards him, he managed to get his left arm up to block it. But even with his arm juiced up with internal energy, a terrifying shockwave of pain ripped through his entire body. Still, Kang reacted on instinct and swung his sword right at the vice principal. He actually managed to slash Kim's left arm. It wasn't much, but Kang definitely saw that he'd cut the guy. That was the last thing he saw before getting knocked out cold. Kang cracks a villainous smile because he landed a hit, which means Kim has no room to argue. He can already see himself getting that training exemption. No cap, he worked his butt off for it. Just then, the nurse comes into the room and tells Kang he's been out for over 4 hours. With a huge smile, the nurse Manhwa lets him know she's just glad he's finally conscious. Kang is totally caught off guard by the school nurse's appearance, since she was never mentioned in the original story. He thanks her for the help and apologizes for making her stay late, then tries to lift his arm. But he quickly finds out it has all the mobility of a boiled noodle. Manhwa explains that the bones in his arm were pretty much pulverized. She says she